Stephen Meisel told Grace. Grace told Anna. Anna calls me on set, come be interviewed. I go to her house on Sullivan Street, and she lays out what she wants me to do. My job was to do the covers and to do all the clothes that nobody else would shoot.
So she told you that?
Uh-huh. Grace can do anything. Camilla could have done anything specific.
Yeah.
They didn't want to. And nobody wanted to photograph celebrities. No. I didn't want to photograph celebrities because it's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
And it says, do you want to shoot couture? I said, I don't really care. She goes, good, because Grace always shoots it. So you're not going to get it. So I said, fine. Then she said, do you need to go to Europe? I said, no, I don't need to go. Very happy being home.
Yeah.
So Anna tells me those are my jobs, to do the clothes nobody wants to shoot, mostly the advertisers, and
all the covers and celebrities.
And then she tells me I shouldn't listen to anybody. So she said, don't listen to anybody. I had a very, very nice relationship with Anna. She was so nice.
I'm Jill Demling, and this is Going Rogue. Today's guest is Paul Cavaco, the invisible hand behind some of fashion's most iconic images. For 4 decades, Paul helped shape the visual language of American fashion magazines, from Harper's Bazaar to Vogue to Allure, working alongside legends like Avedon, Meisel, and Leibovitz. He believes style isn't about trends, it's about subtext, that fashion is a language, and that at its core, this industry is commerce that sometimes becomes art. From the Bronx to Vogue, Paul's career proves the most powerful work often comes from staying just out of frame. This is Paul Cavaco, Going Rogue. To see the images we discussed today, head to our Instagram, goingrogue.podcast, or our website, goingroguepodcast.com. And if you're enjoying these conversations, please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. It helps more people find the show and keeps these stories alive. Hi. See your name. I just don't hear you.
Okay.
It says Paul Cavaco.
Can you hear me, though?
Yes, I can hear you.
Why doesn't it show me?
But it says Cavaco with a B.
Oh, that's fine. Here I am.
Hi.
Hi, that's the original spelling of my name, believe it or not.
Oh, I believe it.
It keeps showing up in weird places.
That's so funny.
Yeah, no, it's just weird. I don't know why it keeps turning up. Sorry, I'm walking you through my house.
No worries. I just looked on my texts because a lot of times when I put names in my contacts, they're just not spelled right. And I don't care. So sometimes
the V and the B are right next to each other.
Exactly. So I have Edward's assistant for Dina Giannini, who's not been Edward's assistant forever.
My daughter always tells me if I can't get on, something happens, she'll always say, it's the user, not the device.
Exactly.
Which actually was very helpful because whenever I get stuck, I just try to power through it.
Right.
And ordinarily, I just be like pissed off and just say, I'm old. You're lucky I can even get on the computer, let alone use it as often as I do.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, you're not old yet, so, but.
I'm 50. I'm almost 52. And all I do is sit in my apartment and learn about other people's interesting lives.
So crazy.
I have so much information because of the amount of research I do. I like know so many details about 25 people. You know what I mean?
So funny. Okay, here.
Yeah, but it's been fascinating.
Okay, so we're ready.
Okay. Paul Cavaco, the invisible hand behind fashion's greatest images. Thank you so much for doing this, first of all, on a weekend.
Thank you for having me on, Jill. It's so much fun to see you. My gosh. It's been
I know.
So long.
I know. It's like going through the timeline, I guess I never booked for you. So I was.
When you were still with Anna.
Yeah.
You had just started, actually.
But I feel like I knew you well.
I think because everyone came into my office and spoke. So all of you that were of a certain age.
Yes.
Because who was my assistant when you were there? Was it Joanna? Jacovini?
Oh, I don't know. You're asking me.
I think it was Gigi, probably. But I had the office. I had the
right next to Anna.
I had the office, but I went back to that office.
Okay.
I had the office originally next to Anna. Then when the PR person left, I got this really big office next to Grace.
Oh.
Because he had an office for his two assistants. And then he had a little
Right.
office for himself, like right behind it. So it was Joanna and I, my
Okay.
assistant.
Yeah.
And then the other desk became Brana, because she was there before she went to Bazaar. So she was there, and she would come in, because she didn't come in every day. So she would just pop in, and Joanna used to be her assistant. So
Because I don't think I overlapped with Brana.
you didn't.
Right. Because, yeah, I couldn't even pick her out of a crowd
Because
of two, to be honest.
Kate? Did you come after Kate Young?
I came after Melissa Skoog.
Okay.
So summer of 1998.
No, you couldn't have. I was gone. Wasn't I gone? Oh, no, I left 99.
99. Yeah.
That's right. I left 99.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I can tell you when you're gone.
Yeah, so I left 99. I overlapped with Tawny for like a month. Or 2
Yes,
months.
because I remember calling in Tawny for her interview and going to get her in the lobby. So it's funny.
Yeah, so funny.
Okay. So you've created some of the most memorable images in fashion history. During your legendary run at Vogue, you and Stephen Meisel dominated the covers for years, creating an unprecedented visual language that defined the era. You've worked with every legendary photographer, Avedon, Meisel, Weber, Penn, Lindbergh, Testino, and styled everyone from Kate Moss to Oprah. Your influence on fashion imagery is undeniable, yet you've mastered the art of letting the work speak for itself. So before we dive into your story, I want to set the tone with what I'll call Cavaco's code, the fundamental truths that explain your vision so perfectly. These are your quotes. I'm very interested in people not seeing me, which is why fashion was perfect. I was behind the scenes. I never think about style. I think about subtext. Clothes are a language, and you have to learn the language. To me, it's commerce. We're doing commerce. It may be that we've done it, and it is artful, and it becomes art, but our job is commerce. There's a difference between taking pictures and making images. You may not have to do everything, but you should be able to. When you look at a photograph, you get something from that photograph, whether you realize it or not, because there's an emotion behind it, a heart behind it. There's a pulse. I love the not knowing. I love being all prepared, but not really knowing. Holding the space for all possibilities to happen. We'll unpack each of these today, but let's start with the first one. Let's start with the first one because it's the thesis. You've mastered the art of being seen through your work while remaining unseen yourself. Where did this idea of being the invisible hand originate for you? And what does it mean to you to create these iconic images while staying behind the scenes?
So I think when I was young, I didn't really look at fashion magazines. It's not what my mom didn't look at. My mom read Ladies' Home Journal and that sort of nonsense. But Life magazine, you would see it. And when I was an adult, and when I was a teenager, my friends were looking at 17. So I would look through 17. Right. I didn't know that those weren't their clothes. I thought those were the clothes of the people wearing them. Right. I had no idea, because I wasn't buying it. So I didn't,
right, of course.
And I didn't read the captions. I didn't, so I thought you would look, you'd see, oh, that's how that girl dresses. That's how that guy dresses. I want to dress like that. So I didn't realize you could, because I wasn't reading it.
Of course.
It would give you the names of the stores. Stupid me could have just gone to the store, but I thought it was their clothes. And even as I got older, I still believed that that's what they looked like. So I come from the place of you should believe it. You should believe the photograph you're looking at. It should look like that person owns those clothes. They should be settled into them.
Right.
So it's not sitting on top of them. And I think you have to believe the picture. I think that's where that all comes from, is you have to believe the picture. So the clothes have to suit the situation.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
I mean, and usually we start with the clothes, so we have to create a situation in which the clothes look like they belong there.
Right.
Unless you're doing something where the clothes don't belong there, but that's the story.
Right. Exactly.
But so for me, there's always a story, there's always a human. And I think that's the difference between editorial and I won't say advertising, but I think, but like maybe catalog of that time period.
Hmm.
Because you were looking at clothes for catalogs. I thought it anyway, when you looked at editorial, you were supposed to believe the story. That the story is what sucked you in to it, and that's the clothes you would buy. So as the editor, as the stylist, they shouldn't feel your hand. When you roll the sleeve, it should look like they rolled the sleeve.
Right.
When the woman that you're creating, if she's opening 3 buttons on her blouse, she's one type of woman. If she's all buttoned up, it's another type of woman. If the sleeve
Right.
is rolled, one type of woman. So there's all these little visual clues you're getting that make you believe that that's that person,
Right.
that you have to continue through the story. I was
Yeah.
like, you should believe what you're looking at.
That's fascinating. Now it all makes sense when we had to like step on jeans and crumple them up, and why Annie Leibovitz probably really does like people to bring their own clothes, how their body changes, like if
Yeah.
it's, you know, lived
But
in, lived in.
It's funny because I learned from actually, I worked a lot with Bruce Weber in the very, very beginning of my career. Bruce is actually responsible for me becoming a
Yes,
stylist.
we're going to get to him for sure.
And he always would be like, they should look like they own the clothes. That was his vibe too. So, and there was a hairdresser, Tom Priano, who's fabulous, like the best men's haircuts, the best and he would actually, like when we'd be outside, he would take his spray bottle that he'd sprayed the hair with and just spray the clothes.
Right.
And then because you're outside and you're moving and you're not sweating, but your body heat is, if the clothes are wet, it's forming to you.
Yes.
And it's from him that I learned. You wet the clothes and then you sort of wrinkle them up. You sort of push them into the skin. So
because it doesn't just change how the clothes look, it changes how the person wearing them feels in the clothes. There's a difference between jeans that you just washed and jeans that it's on the third wear, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You sit differently, you stand differently. And
so that was the whole thing. So even when the clothes are very stiff, like I also, in order to leave our house when I was a kid to go to school, we had to iron our own clothes, the kids, my sister and I.
wow.
I would iron my clothes, she would iron hers, and then she had long black stick straight hair. I would iron her hair anyway. She would tell me you have to iron it. It couldn't have been straighter.
Right.
But so we'd iron our clothes, iron the hair and stuff.
Oh
But
my God.
there wasn't really steamers when I started. I know this sounds crazy. Like, there was little hand steamers, but there wasn't like the ones we now have.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I ironed everything, taffeta, satin. I would just iron it. So everything would be like,
Exactly.
standing out. But that also was a type of person that
Oh,
ironed their clothes.
100%. Yeah. 100%.
And then I remember once Annie Leibovitz gave me a very hard time because I was ironing the shirt.
Uh-oh.
And she said, why are you ironing the shirt? And I was like, Annie, I'm taking the industrial creases out of the shirt. And so, but, because sometimes
that makes sense though.
No, this is
Because
gonna
those
sound-
are those are very obvious creases. When you get
And
a
if you-
shirt in the, you order a shirt and has the,
Yeah. The square. And also, when you iron the shirt, you have to make sure that you don't, because you iron it flat. So it sometimes leaves a crease on you have to
Yeah.
pull that, you have to iron that crease out.
yeah. Oh my
So there's,
God.
So it's all these little details about what makes clothes look. But I had incredible teachers. I had Keisha Keeble, who I was married to at the time, and she worked under Diana Vreeland and Grace Marabella. So she really was trained.
Right.
And then Bruce Weber, who
Yeah.
really taught me all about sort of both of them had this whole thing, and there's expressions that everybody used at that time, and there was the expression of dégagé, which is French for I don't know what, but it's sort of like the attitude of, like throw away. It's just like they threw it on, and that was a big thing in the 70s to look like you just threw it on,
Right.
and that's kind of the chic that you own the clothes. You just throw on
Right.
your clothes. And because the clothes are of quality, they look a certain way.
Oh my God, that's fascinating. Okay, so let's give everyone kind of your background. So, Bronx to Buddhism. Okay, let's go back to the beginning. Through the conversations I've been having, I've realized that many, if not all, of my guests knew at a very young age what they wanted to do. Half were encouraged by their parents to pursue their dreams, the others weren't, maybe because their parents were fearful that the industry was too out of reach. Someone like Phyllis Posnick, father owns a hardware store, she's working at Vogue no matter what. They're like, I don't think so. So she stopped talking about it. Or maybe because their parents just simply didn't know these types of creative professions existed. Norman Jean Roy told me that in Tennessee, New York seemed so far away, and he had no idea being a photographer was even a job. You grew up in Hunts Point in the Bronx, Fort Apache, then Queens. Your grandparents came from Spain and Cuba. Your dad owned a bodega and worked at your uncle's chorizo factory. Your mom sold glue to schools. You didn't grow up with fashion magazines, just Good Housekeeping, Family Circle, your sister's version of Tiger Beat. You've said, at 16, my main interest was smoking pot. My grandchildren are going to hate that.
Oh my God, why actually say that?
My family was living in Queens at the time, and I thought I wanted to go to college because I didn't want the life that my parents had. I thought I would become a teacher because I was a good reader. Or my friend's dad was an airplane pilot, so I thought I would do that. I was just trying to figure out ways to get out. I had very nice parents, and my life was fine. I was just seeking something, and I didn't know what it was. I think it's part of being young. You went to CCNY for $50 while working full-time to pay for books. First college graduate in your family, English literature major. You thought, oh, I'll be a writer because then I don't have to see anyone. During your last semester, you got sidetracked into Buddhism. Quote, because that's what you did in the 60s and 70s. Everybody was into transcendental meditation, and the Beatles did it. You started chanting, waiting tables. At a Buddhist meeting, you met Keisha Keeble, quote, probably the most glamorous thing I'd ever seen, 5'10" and change with waist-length black hair and a Saint Laurent see-through blouse. So, Paul, take us back to Hunts Point. Paint me a picture, your dad's bodega, your uncle's chorizo factory. What was that world like?
I kind of loved it because I was a kid. I lived in this building. So Fort Apache is a part of the Bronx that eventually got burnt down by the people that owned the buildings for the insurance because it was better than people squatting in it. I didn't know this. I was a kid. I lived there till I was 10, so I had no idea that there were junkies and hookers everywhere. There was a bar in every corner, so you think I'd have a clue.
Right.
But when you live somewhere, you think that's what life is.
Of course.
So people would, like you'd be walking and someone would throw like a bag of trash out the window. Or there were hookers, a condom out the window. So there were things on the street, there were rats. But that was my life. And my oldest cousin lived on the first floor of our building. We lived on the fourth. It was my parents, my sister, and I. And then on the fifth, right above us, was my mother's sister and her 3 kids. And we're all very close in age. So we all walked to school together.
Yeah.
We all walked home together. We all played. There was so many kids in the building. Our next door neighbor was a really close friend of my mom's. Another person that she had grown up with lived on the first floor of our building. So everybody lived everywhere that we knew, and they all had kids around the same age. So I don't know if you've ever seen, like in the 50s, they had the thing of the hula hoops. They have all the kids in the, well, that's what our street looked like because we all got hula
Wow.
hoops. Everyone was in the street all day long,
Yeah, it's like
placed.
cars coming, game off, game on.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's what it was
Yeah.
like. And there were a lot of kids.
Yeah.
So I didn't know it was bad. I actually quite loved it. I loved living there. And then we moved to Queens. We were the only Latin people in the area. So okay, so we'll go back to the invisible hand. The
Yeah.
reason why I liked styling. Growing up in the 50s, being Latin, especially Caribbean Latin, not a good thing. A lot of racism. But as a kid, you're not really understanding why, it's just like, why don't people like us? So I moved to Queens. It was very, we lived in a building. Most people lived in private homes or two-family houses. We lived in a building. So already you're separate. We speak like we're from the Bronx. It's a whole other accent.
And did you guys move without it's almost like you had your little village or your commune.
All of us, my cousin, we came back from the summer. We had gone upstate. My aunt had a house upstate, and we would all the kids would go in the summer, except for my older cousin, who was from my dad's side, not my mom's side. And when we got back, a lot of his friends had been arrested. He was significantly older than they were. So they moved, and then we all moved. So we all moved to different places.
Okay, so you didn't have that community
anymore.
Okay.
I had a cousin who lived, which is why we moved to Queens. Also older. And I don't know, she didn't seem affected by it, like my sister and I were really affected by having lived in the Bronx and moved to Queens. And so it was easier to be disappeared. You know how I'm very short. And people would just tell me how ugly I was. And so I grew up like, you don't want to be seen. You don't want people to make fun of you. You don't.
Yeah,
so
of course.
The job itself,
Yeah.
being stylist, where you're behind the scene was kind of perfect for me. So when the industry changed and you had to be on Instagram and you had to be seen, it was like, whoa, this is not,
Right. Oh, that makes total sense now. Yeah, because it's going to come up later, but you just answered and it'll all connect. Okay, so let's talk magazines. So you grew up with Good Housekeeping, Family Circle, your sister's Tiger Beat, nothing about fashion, but then 17 magazine, you've touched on this already, entered your life at 15, and you've said it changed everything. For someone who would go on to become one of the great magazine editors, working at Bazaar, Vogue, Allure for decades, there's something about magazines specifically that spoke to you. So you talked a bit about you were reading it and looking at it and not really realizing that this wasn't how the models looked, or that they're even models, I guess. What was it about that magazine format that showed you another world, or how did you?
I think it was just the visual.
It's
just the visual. It gave me a glimpse into something that I hadn't seen.
So it wasn't Grace on an island, dreaming about a different world.
I didn't really know that fashion existed in the way that it exists. When you don't have a lot of money, you shop differently.
Right. And you weren't looking at Vogue, you're looking at 17. So let's also be clear there. It's not like you were.
17 still was, money.
Right. But you weren't seeing locations of far off places necessarily.
No, but you were seeing places that you maybe didn't see, like Harvard. You see the girls go to college.
Right.
So that you see things. And I think it just comes into your consciousness the same way that watching movies. So for me, it was always movies, reading. And then when I looked at these magazines, it was like, oh, okay, this is, people look great. I didn't know how to identify it as style, but they had style. I didn't know what it was, but they had a different way of looking.
Right.
Visually. So it was an interesting thing to me. So by the time I was in my 20s, I knew that, Vogue existed. I really didn't look at it. But I met Keisha.
Right.
And Keisha had been a editor she had worked at Glamour when she first got to Condé Nast. And then she went to Vogue with Mrs. Vreeland.
And what did Mrs. Vreeland think of the Buddhism? That's the part, like, when I'm
But no,
just,
so by the
you know what I
time,
mean?
well,
Yeah.
Keisha by then had left, Mrs. Vreeland had left
Okay.
Vogue, and
Right.
Keisha left Vogue. In this very early 70s, there was this whole thing of seeking, because,
Right. Right.
it was,
No.
I
Yeah.
think, I think, for a lot of people, they were the first generation or second generation of non-immigrants. Number one, I think number two, you didn't, because the whole sort of youth quake happened and that revolution, people didn't want to be their parents.
No, for sure. Yep.
And it was also books on psychology. So I think a lot of things happened during that time period that made people question what kind of life they wanted. I
no, I
think
mean,
really that was it.
yeah, no, and listen, we're also putting ourselves back there where it's not like you can Google seeking out something different means literally seeking it out.
Well, I think for Keisha, I mean, she was from a family that the women did go to college, but a lot of women
Right.
did not go to college then. Don't forget, women's lib happened in 1973. I meet Keisha in 72. Women's lib
Right.
doesn't even happen till
I
1973.
mean, well, let's get you to your first magazine. So you meet Keisha Keeble at a Buddhist meeting. She's probably the most glamorous thing you've ever seen. And over the next 15 years, she's going to teach you everything and introduce you to a world you never knew existed. Since this is a podcast about magazines, I want to get you to Harper's Bazaar in 1992, your first editor job. But between that Buddhist meeting where you met Keisha and walking into Liz Tilberis's office 15 years later, a lot happened. So let me give our listeners the quick version so we can get to magazines. Okay, so you and Keisha lived together, had a baby, got married. Keisha was working with Bruce Weber for Esquire. This is around 1976, 77. You were helping her put the clothes together on set, and Bruce noticed. He said, he's kind of good at this. He asked you to style ads for him. Then you started working with Patrick Demarchelier, then Avedon, then Stephen Meisel at the very beginning of his career. You had no assistants. You ironed, steamed, dressed everyone all by yourself. Keisha was teaching you the craft, how to tie bows, pin clothes, handle a handbag, turn a skirt up. She taught you all the rules so you could learn how to break them. By 1977, you and Keisha formed Cavaco, a freelance styling company. You divorced in 84. She remarried John Duca in 85, a journalist writing fashion for the New York Times. You formed Cavaco and Duca in 1985. You did ads, press kits, eventually PR. You were the first 3 editors doing PR. You started with Bergdorf Goodman, Stephen Meisel photographing, Mats Gustafsson illustrating, KCD grew. But then you stopped working in the early 80s. You didn't want to travel anymore because Kylie was growing up. Prada or stay home with my family. You made the choice to stay home. Later, you lost John in 89. Keisha died in 1990, plus your dad and grandma, your entire family in 3 years. And as a result, you are now raising Kylie alone. She was around 12, right? When
She was 13.
13. She was 13 when Keisha died. It was you, Ed Filipowski, and Julie Mannion left at KCD. They were running the business. When Keisha died, you thought, I'm done because my whole thing was tied up to her. But Stephen Meisel brought you back. He said, come back to work. We won't put your name on the page. We will tell everyone they can't talk about that you're here on set. You were heartbroken, but you came back. You started styling again. By 1992, you're working on Madonna's Sex Book with Fabien Baron, Stephen Meisel, and Francois Nars. Fabien tells you Liz Tilberis is coming to America to work for Harper's Bazaar, and he's going. He says, this train is stopping at this station now. I don't know if this train is ever going to come back to this station, so you might not be able to get back on at another time. You were doing a lot of styling at the time. Ed and Julie were really equipped. They didn't really need you. Okay, so that's 15 years and 2 minutes.
So I'll do it. I'll get the timeline quick.
Yeah.
Okay, so what happened was, so I meet Keisha. We have a baby. We've been together since 1970. I think we meet in 72, so we're together since like 74 or something. Um, we have a baby in 77, and I'm at that point, I'm a waiter. I work at a place called Brewburger, which is on 57th and 6th, and you get a burger with all the beer you can drink. So we have a lot of drunk people. Keisha lived right near there. So Keisha would come and get me from work, and we would go to like fashion shows because then it wasn't so formal. And the fashion shows were
Right.
in people's showrooms. So you'd be sitting there in like a showroom and then go through the showroom. And because, we were not really at a magazine, they would put you in the room that was really where the seamstresses were. So you'd be in a little folding chair with your back to a sewing machine. And the show would go through
Yeah.
the thing. So that's how it worked. And then, of course, it was Halston. He was in the Olympic Tower. It was all mirrored. And you would sit there. And there was no seating. You would just go sit. I
Wow.
don't know if you ever worked in a restaurant, but
Yes.
you smell like the
Yes.
restaurant when you leave.
Yep.
So I leave the restaurant. I'm smelling like, burger and beer. Keisha comes, gets me, says, I'm going here, come with me. We go to the Halston show, and I'm seated next to Grace Marabella, who at that point is the editor-in-chief of Vogue. And I'm sure she's thinking, I'm at this point like 24, but I look much younger. And I probably smell like a brewery and a hamburger,
Yeah.
French fries. So it was, she probably was like, what the hell is that? But anyway, so that was the real introduction to fashion.
Right.
And then I didn't know what to do, so I thought I'd become a writer. And Keisha was like, well, if you're going to be a writer for a magazine, you need to have like, you know, a thing that you're doing. Like either you write about politics, you write about fashion, you write. So I thought
A
she knows
beat.
about
Yeah.
fashion. So I thought, okay, I'll write about fashion. So she at the time was doing freelance PR. And so I would write the press kits. And we sent a press kit to the Soho Weekly News. They called us, and we started to do their menswear. And we shot with Bruce Weber.
Right.
Just before this, though, Esquire called Keisha saying, we're looking for someone to do the menswear. And she goes, well, I can do it for you. So she does it freelance, which at the time was the beginning of freelance.
Right.
And usually freelance did ads, not magazines.
Right.
But she became a freelance editor for Esquire. We meet Bruce. She can only use real people as models. And I become one of the real people. So, because it's a college kid issue, so it's all these people. So I'm one of the college kids because I've just gotten out of college.
Right. Right.
So, so I'll go back to the ugliness. They're shooting, and all the boys are like 6 feet tall. And then there's me, and I'm kind of the foil of the picture. I'm like kind of the joke, like they look glamorous, and I'm always smiling like a Doberman in this.
Right.
And they're shooting it, and the person from Esquire comes and just keeps saying, that boy is so ugly. That boy has a face only a mother could love.
Oh my
He kept
God.
going. But not
and you're
that
taking one for the team here, obviously.
So I didn't hear it, at the time. Keisha tells me, we think it's really funny. Like, what do I care? Because I'm like thinking, oh, I'm a model now, I'm really cute. And of course I wasn't. I was the foil, but it didn't really matter.
Yeah, of course it doesn't. Yeah.
So then the next day, though, she comes to Brewburger, because it was right near the Esquire office, and hires me to do another job because they need someone who's kind of odd looking to do this picture. I got paid like $100 or something. I didn't make $100 in a week. I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I was thrilled. Think I'm ugly all you want.
But, yeah, exactly.
So for me, it was always, that's the first time, I didn't hide.
Right.
But much more comfortable hiding, much more, But because of comments like that, you just think really, like, sometimes you can laugh it off, and sometimes it's like, depending on the day.
No, for sure. And you can only laugh it off if it's for the, you're doing it for Keisha, you're making money. Like you can rationalize all of that,
Yeah, but
you're still taking it in, whether
yeah, of
you,
course.
yeah.
And it's feeding that
Yes,
neurosis,
exactly.
whatever
Yep.
your,
Yep.
damages, whatever the
Exactly.
trauma is. Anyway, but so we did that. Bruce asked me to do some ads, and then Keisha and I started a styling company called Cavaco. I used to do catalogs with Patrick DeMarchelier, Alex Chatelain. We did all these things. Then I started to do ads. I did ads with Bruce all throughout this.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of things. I couldn't even pronounce the thing. There was a thing called Grosvenor Furs. I called it Gross Governor because it's the way it's written. I was like, I didn't know anything. But when we would do like the catalogs, the clothes would come, we'd put them on a rack and we'd go through them. And Keisha would show me how you tie a bow, how you hold a purse. Like if you're going to pull the skirt up, this is how you do, this is how you flip the hand. It's all these things that at Vogue she learned,
Right.
and it's things also she's brought up in a very sort of well-heeled household. So she understood clothes and loved, she loved shoots. She was such a great editor. And from her, I learned how to be in a studio,
Right.
how to be the person that kind of holds the space for things to happen. Like she would say, I can imagine what the hair is going to be, but if I describe it to the hairdresser, they're going to do it 10 times better than I imagined it.
Right.
So her whole thing was you could discuss things, but everyone had to have their head to be able to do what they wanted.
See, that is honestly, Phyllis Posnick, when I had her on, said it took her a while to get to the place where she could, and that's Keisha's quote, and this way of thinking is much more well thought out than Phyllis saying, I just needed to give them their time. Like she would be watching the hair thinking, you're not doing it how I told you I wanted it. But she had to learn to have patience to let them, because it either turned out better than she had thought, or it's different, but that's exactly what the hair should have been, but to come into the industry with that sensibility of giving space is so amazing for everyone else on set with you to have.
I think, my success was really based on the ability to collaborate and the ability to trust. We both worked for Anna.
Right.
And the great thing about working for Anna for me was I was not micromanaged.
Right.
Anna never asked to see my Polaroids. I would show her the clothes. She didn't ask me what shoe I was going to put with it.
No, right.
She didn't ask me what jewelry. She didn't ask any. She looked at the clothes, the main thing that we were doing, and then the rest of the expression was up to me, because the shoe changes something. All the accessories change something, or the lack of accessories change something. And she would allow us to do what we did. And the same thing with Liz. Liz was a fashion editor, so she and did beautiful photographs for British Vogue. So she understood that. But I think I was brought up that way, where you allow people to be inspired. And if I said something to you about, like, whoever it was, the hairdresser, the makeup, I'd say, this is the vibe. Blah, blah, blah. I'm talking to someone, number one, who probably not the same age, probably not even from the same country.
Absolutely.
Not maybe the same gender. So there's so many variables.
That's so true.
So it goes through their filter based on who they are, what their experience in life. So the filter is different.
Right. No, that's so true.
We were going to do like a 60s based story, and so I'm telling them I'm the editor. The photographer is Michael Thompson, who's a fabulous, fabulous photographer, and he's from Seattle or somewhere, right? But younger, significantly younger than I am. So a whole other thing about, I lived the 60s. He saw the 60s in books. And
Right.
then I had Serge Noman, who did the hair, also significantly younger, French.
Right.
And Dick Page, significantly younger,
Right.
British.
Slaughterhouse. Yep.
So everyone's idea of the 60s was
Yes.
based on what they saw mostly in magazines and
Yeah.
movies and stuff, but based on their country.
Right.
So when we did these pictures, it didn't look like my 60s or their
Right.
60s. It looked like something else. But
Right.
it's that thing, it goes through their filter, and you have to trust the filter
No,
because
that is so true. Well, I want to get us to Harper's, but looking back, I mean, when Fabian said this to you, I know we're skipping up to a point because
fine.
just to get us there, but the train is stopping. I mean, so you're at this point. That's a huge step, right? To be reaching out to Liz. And I'm just
No, but it's not really.
but
So, okay,
but
so,
or but just your even your headspace.
well, what had happened then?
Yeah, get us to this decision because it's an important one.
Keisha had died at this point.
Yeah.
We're in the middle of the first year of it, and we're working on the sex book. So I had been shooting with Stephen Meisel, and I had stopped in 1984 when we started Keeble, Cavaco, and Duca. I had stopped shooting because people wanted to travel. Like I worked a lot with Bruce. He was always traveling to this, where it was warm so he could shoot. So there
Right.
was that, and he was really, I mean, he does studio, but it's not. And I worked a lot with Avedon and photographer Bill King, who was a Spanish. And I was just, I don't know, I had reached my point of not wanting to. And Kylie was little.
Yeah.
And I thought either I'm going to watch her grow up, or in order to do the career, you have to do a certain amount of traveling. And I
Right.
just didn't really want to travel with that consistency. So I stopped. And I had worked a lot with Stephen at this point. Stephen was still a baby photographer, but, as he is, brilliant. So I stopped styling, and we did PR, and I did the styling for the ads. Keisha and I would do the styling for the
Yeah.
ads that we were doing and the press kits and
Right.
stuff, fashion shows, but all New York based. So I could
Right.
be home. And, but I had stopped styling. And then Stephen said to me, I have to do an ad. Why don't you do it with me? Or we were doing Père Louis and Lay magazine, which was like Italian glamour and Italian. It was like Italian GQ for younger guys, was called Père Louis, which means for him, I guess. And
Yeah.
so he said, but we won't put your name on the pages. We won't.
And what was that part? Was that because you didn't want to be
I didn't
now
want people
inundated? Yeah, calling you to get back. Yeah.
because I had told everyone I was going to
Yes.
stop
Okay.
doing, and then like Bruce was kind of annoyed at me that I had stopped.
Yeah. Right.
I just didn't want anyone to be already angry at me because they already were.
Right. Right.
But and there wasn't at that time. There wasn't a lot of freelance stylists. It was fairly new. By
Right.
the 80s, it was much more. But in the 70s, there was very few. It was Julie Britt, few people, Patty Wilson. So there was. Anyway, so that's how I started. And then when Keisha got sick, she got sick almost right after we started our business. She had breast cancer. I was glad I was home. I have to say, I worked with Steve in the studio sometimes. But then she died, and I had to work a lot. I had debts to pay because at that time you couldn't be insured if you had a pre-existing condition. And when you're young, you don't think about health insurance.
Right.
And, so we had health insurance for everyone. I had it. But because Keisha had breast cancer and had been diagnosed, so I ended up with a lot of bills.
God. Yeah.
And so I would I'd shoot in the day or shoot at night, work a little bit in the office. And anyway, so at this point, Steven's working a lot with Madonna. He's doing Rolling Stone with her. So I'm doing that. And we're shooting the publicity pictures for Truth or Dare. So that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And Fabienne is going to do the sex book. So Madonna and Steven cook up the sex book. Madonna
Okay.
cooks it up, asks Stephen to do it. He says yes. Stephen asked me to do the clothes for it. And then they ask Fabienne to do the art direction. But really, it's Stephen and Madonna are doing
Right.
the thing. And then Fabienne comes in. And I had met Fabienne before and stuff. And, I really liked Fabienne. And we were shooting. He would come on the shoots. We went to Florida to shoot some of it. It was hilarious. And we had a great experience. And he said, Liz Tilberis is leaving British Vogue and going to come do Harper's Bazaar. I'm going to go. Patrick's Domarche is supposed to go. Peter Limbrick's supposed to go. And Stephen was supposed to go.
So is that signaling that the staff is going to change? Is that or looking ahead and saying she's going to probably hire her own? Okay, so okay.
Yeah, we thought she would hire her own.
Okay, it's not like there was obviously, because you're just assuming that changeover is going to create.
Fabienne said, I didn't really know. Fabienne said you should come and do that. So I called Liz up and I said, I want to be your fashion director. I knew Liz because we worked with Patrick Domarche and Alex Chatelet. But they worked for British Vogue and I did ads with them. And Liz and I actually shared, I would get clothes for my booking and she would have her clothes and she would leave pieces for me to shoot and then I would leave.
Oh my God.
So I knew Liz, we had dinners together and stuff.
Okay. So that made sense.
So I did know her, and she, I know you never met her. Was the warmest, sweetest, kindest, funniest person.
I mean, through these conversations, I've learned that about her and a lot more. It's pretty amazing,
Yeah, no, she was an angel from, she was brilliant. So I called her, I said, I want to be your fashion director. And she was like, oh my God, I have an ask out already. And, if they take it. So the person ended up not taking it. So she called me and said, do you want to do this? And I said, yes. So then she called me a few days later and said, Paul Wilmot, who had been at Calvin, said that Tani wanted to leave and would she consider Tani as a fashion director? So Liz called me and said, would you be upset if there were two of you? She said, I'm thinking of asking Tani Goodman. And I was like, no, I love Tani. So two things are operating for me. One, I love Tani. The other thing is I want to share the burden of this.
Right.
So if we go down in flames, I want to go down with someone. I don't want to go alone as the sole thing.
Right. So and just work-wise too, I guess, in a sense, there's just something, especially you're a single dad. It's not, you've taken... you need to have some flexibility there too. Thank God it was Liz who was the boss and not Anna at that time, I would think, because there's definitely, I can't imagine anyone being as kind of, where are you at 6 a.m. like Anna was, but just kind of a soft entree into...
It was like soft, and Liz also had been a fashion editor, a very, very, very good fashion editor. And so I knew what she would expect from us was great photos, is all I was interested in. And so it was fine, so she said, do you want Tani, are you good with Tani? I was like, yeah, it's love. And Tani and I knew each other fairly well.
Right.
We were not full besties at that point. Tani and I were born exactly a year and a day apart.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
So I'm a year older, but I'm born right. She's the November 30th. I'm December. So we're very similar, but she's a November Sag, and I'm a December Sag. They're slightly different.
Yeah.
They manifest slightly different.
I wanted to just read a couple of these quotes. Okay, so you call Liz Tilberis, I want to be your fashion director. She responds, okay, we're telling that story. It ended up being the most fabulous years. Working there was a dream, and Tani was a dream beyond. You shared an office. They had to split you up one time because they were like, you two need to be separated. Liz was coming from British Vogue, where Anna had been her boss. There was intense competition between the two magazines. The press was watching. Liz was forming her dream team. Patrick Demarchelier, Peter Limburg, Fabian, and she wanted you and Tawny. You've said what made Liz so special to me was that she allowed her staff to do their individual thing and make their special contributions. She was extremely professional, but she was also so human. Every morning you'd go in and have a cup of coffee with her. That's how I started my day with her.
A cup of coffee and a cigarette.
And a cigarette.
A cup of
I love it. Love it. That's how I started my day with her. We'd talk about work, kids, everything. So the humanity factor between us was there all the time. I just got chills. She'd toddle through the office, come sit at your desk and talk to you about everything and anything. It was a joy. The years I worked with Liz were full of joy. I mean, that's amazing, right? So
it was the nicest, and everybody was fabulous.
Yeah, and you said she also let you be who I was. The years I worked, I mean that's huge.
I think the really good ones, I think Anna let us be who we were because we're not micromanaged.
Right.
Neither one of them micromanaged us. Anna's more definitive because, Anna, they're just different people.
Yeah, I have a whole comparison section, but I take just let me be who I was, not as a fashion director, as a human almost.
What it was because she knew me as a human.
Right.
She knew me first as a person. Also,
right. That's important.
Liz had 2 little kids. I was the only person really who had a kid. Fabienne and I had kids. But I had much older kids than everybody else. I had a teenager.
Right.
So I have a teenager. They all have like babies.
Yeah.
But Liz was so much fun to work with, as was Fabienne. Everybody was adorable. And we didn't know what we were going to, we wanted to do something great. We didn't know whether it was going to turn out great because who the hell knows?
Right.
And when we did the first issue, I think a lot of people thought it was a great issue, but people also thought it was a shitty issue. The cover has Linda with her hand up here and the letter A is falling into her hand.
Yeah.
People would walk by me and go, and then put their hand
God.
up to their head, imitating like they had a headache.
So had Anna brought these photographers? Because when I was there, I do remember each one by one. Patrick came over. Peter was later.
Patrick had worked at Vogue under Grace Marabella. Anna inherited him. He did a lot of Vogue with Anna initially, but he worked for British Vogue.
Okay.
Peter, I did British Vogue.
Right.
But didn't really do American Vogue.
Right.
Yet. So he did British Vogue while Anna was there, but not American Vogue when she went over. Stephen, American Vogue.
Right.
British Vogue. Those were the 3 that we were supposed to get.
Got it.
Because they were going to come over because of Fabienne and Liz.
Okay. Got it.
So they
From
were
British Vogue to American Harper's. Got it.
Patrick and Stephen had to leave American Vogue.
Right.
In leaving American Vogue, Patrick no longer had the Vogues. Stephen was going to leave, but then he would not have Italian Vogue. From what I understand.
Yes. Okay. Because that's a huge thing. And the press, when I look back at press back then about Anna coming and Anna starting to poach people, but it's interesting how I wasn't even aware when I was at Vogue and people started coming over. For me, it was the first time. Like, I didn't know there had been all this history.
But Mario was not American Vogue. He was British Vogue. He went over to Bazaar because Fabienne brought him, and then Anna poached Mario from Liz.
So it was a big deal that's why it's mentioned so much as when Fabienne's telling you this, because it's a big deal that these photographers, that's the sell. The
2 that came was the sell.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody else came later. It would have been, with Stephen had been there, it would have been a whole other story too. But he stayed.
I was going to ask you about kind of what you learned from Liz, but I'm going to do this comparison with Anna and Liz to kind of put them next to each other. Sure. Because some of them are similarities, like you said before, being able to be yourself. So now we're 96, right? After 4 years at Bazaar, you were offered the job at Vogue. This wasn't just any move. You're going from Liz to Anna, from the challenger to the champion. Anna had been Liz's boss at British Vogue. There was a rivalry. The press was watching, and you were crossing over. But you wanted it. You've said it was validation for me. Keisha had been offered the job. I think it was maybe 17 years prior to that. She didn't take it because she was pregnant with our child, but I was able to take the job because our daughter was grown up. I so wanted to do it. All I wanted was one Vogue cover. I thought one Vogue cover would give me a validation. Your first cover was January 1997. You did almost all of them, by the way, with the exception of a few Camilla did in early 98. You did Giselle's first cover. You did Oprah's cover. Cameron Diaz's first cover. You and Stephen Meisel were essentially the dream team. Meisel shot nearly every single cover in 97, 98, 99. I think I saw one Annie cover going through it all, and I think that was Hillary Clinton, right? So it wasn't even, and you styling all of them. I arrived in June 98 as Anna's first assistant. Your Sandra Bullock, Meisel cover was on the stands. This was 350 Madison Avenue. You smoked in your office. We all smoked in the closet. This was still the model era. We were only doing a few celebrities a year. We overlapped for about a year before you left in 99, and I was promoted to entertainment editor at the end of that year. After 3 years, you left for Allure. So before we talk Anna versus Liz, I want you to walk me through leaving Bazaar and crossing over to Vogue. How did that opportunity come about? And was getting the solo fashion director title part of that appeal? How did Liz handle losing you? And of course, tell me about the Anna interview. Everyone remembers their first with Anna.
I knew Grace and I knew Phyllis. I knew Phyllis very well, actually.
Oh, wow. Okay. So that was great.
Yeah, and I loved Phyllis. She's really funny, really smart. So I knew them, so that was fun.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah.
Now that I'm older and I think about all the things I did, all the choices I made, I was very bratty at Bazaar.
I
Not
can't
bratty.
even see
I'm
that.
not bratty. Bratty in my way, I think. Liz was sick, and so she was in and out of the office a lot. And Fabienne also in and out of the office because he had his business. And initially we were all there together a lot. Like we spent so much time with Fabienne. Fabienne was there a lot in the beginning. And with all magazines, it is advertising. Like, how much advertising can you get? How much? And the advertising was slipping, and it was difficult times. Liz would tell us something like maybe we had to be more cheerful because we were very austere. And then Fabienne would tell us something else. So it was a little confusing. So I had this idea to do an issue where every picture was smiling. Because that's the thing. They always say that in Vogue and Bazaar, the girls weren't really smiling. So people always had a thing. Well, nobody looks happy. They all look.
I can hear Anna saying that, of course.
So I said, let's do the issue. Everybody, every shoot, every shot, everyone smiling. And Fabienne's like, darling, you can't do this. I'm like, no, of course you can do this. And he was so against it. And I, of course, because he's not there, but I'm there. And I have Tani, of course, with me. I have, Melanie. So all these people Elisa. So we're all like, let's do it. Let's do it. Because I'm like a big cheerleader. Like, happen. So we all go do it. Elisa does still lives because she did the accessory stories. Right. Fabienne then takes the issue and breaks up all our stories. So they're not running as stories. Every page is different. So there's like one of my pictures of someone smiling next to like an accessory next. You flip it, and then it's
like a feature, even like splitting it up. So you didn't.
The whole thing is just running like this, and then he's putting runway pictures where they're not smiling. So the issue is not a smile.
Oh my God!
Because he told me it wasn't going to work, and so he made it not work, and I was so angry.
Oh, that is some serious power move on who's boss.
Something else happened. I decide I'm supposed to do a sport issue. I'm very not sporty.
Right.
So I decide I'm going to do Stella Tennant as the sport girl, who's the least athletic person.
Yeah.
So I have this 5'11", almost 6 foot girl who's, a
No
stick
muscle,
figure,
just
no muscle tone British, no muscle.
smoking.
Aristocracy, beautiful
Yeah.
child.
Yeah.
And I have her running with a parachute on her back,
Oh
and
my
and of course, she and I are dying of laughter
Yeah.
at this. And
Yeah.
the pictures come, and Fabienne, who's like, they all were like, you shouldn't do this. And Fabienne takes it and does this beautiful art direction, but I'm angry.
Right.
It does it like puzzle pieces. I'm annoyed.
Right.
And so he's giving me cross sort of communication. So I'm really confused. And I go to Liz and I say, I can't keep doing this. Either he goes or I go.
Wow. And she's sick.
She's sick. So
She can't have him go.
No, but my egotistical self thought
And she has another fashion director. Let's be real.
I'm far more bossy than Tawny.
Yeah, of course.
I'm much more like out there as a human. Yeah. Other than Liz, I'm the oldest person. Not going to mess with me.
Right. Right.
And so Fabienne, I thought, was messing with me. And it was my ego got in the way. He stayed. His contract was up. She renewed it. And the only reason we had the contract, it was time to renew it.
Right.
And well, don't renew it. And then didn't happen. So our time was very, very close to Stephen Meisel. And I said, I'm thinking of leaving and going freelance. And he told Grace. Grace told Anna. Anna called me on it. I was on a shoot with David Sims freelance. And she calls me on set.
Wow.
Says, come be interviewed. I go to her house on Sullivan Street to be interviewed. And she lays out what she wants me to do.
Now, was there an official fashion director at that time? Before you go over there?
There had been, because Carlene was a fashion director.
Okay.
Andre was a creative director. There were 3 of them at the time.
But it wasn't like it was once you came over. That was a little bit of a different format.
I think by then Grace had become Grace and Carlene, and somebody else was fashion director.
Okay.
And then they had left, so leaving Grace alone as the fashion director, and then Grace
turned creative director. Got it. Okay.
So they needed another editor.
Yes.
And so Anna called me, and I had done a lot of covers for Bazaar.
Yeah.
And so she said, my job was to do the covers and to do all the clothes that nobody else would shoot.
So she told you that.
Uh-huh.
I was wondering, like, poor Tawny, she gets all the bad clothes, but it's like, that's the job.
That was our job.
To be able to handle those clothes. That's the thing. To be able to make the clothes.
Well, no. Okay. Grace can do anything. Grace is a brilliant editor. Camilla could have done anything.
Right. They
but
didn't
they're very
want
specific.
to. Yeah.
They didn't want to. And nobody wanted to photograph celebrities.
Of 100%.
I didn't want to photograph celebrities because it's a whole other thing.
Yeah, it's a whole other thing.
It has nothing to do with who they are as people. It has to do with...
And we weren't even doing that many at the
that
time.
No.
Right.
We were just starting.
Right.
There always was a celebrity on a cover of Vogue every so often.
Yeah, exactly. There's like 3 or 4. Yeah.
Not even one a year.
I mean, okay, so let's talk the Liz versus Anna. The press called it civilized warfare. I know this is going to be a long setup, but there's a lot the listener will want to know about this move. I asked AI, my best friend, to compare the office atmospheres of the 2 magazines. Here's what it said. Bazaar under Liz was kind, warm, collaborative, encouraging, and personal, a calm, elegant, supportive atmosphere that felt like a community or family. Vogue under Anna was demanding, aloof, authoritative, direct, and fast, a highly competitive and results-oriented environment. Now, I worked with Anna for 20 years, starting when I was 24. I spent more time with her than my mother, by the way, which is why I called her mom once. And honestly, Vogue was my only real office job, so I didn't realize this intensity wasn't normal. The early hours, high stress, always available, no is not an answer. But you experienced both. You've said, professionally, she was great to me. This is Anna. Personally, she was divine to me. So all of the things, the coldness, for example, I never experienced. She was warm and nice. And Anna doesn't micromanage you. If she hired you, she believed in you. If she didn't like what you did, it wasn't like she held a grudge. She wanted things done artfully. But also, I loved working with her, but she wasn't always easy. She knew what she wanted, and my head would be spinning. It was very difficult because she has very high standards, but you knew where you stood. But it wasn't just about the EICs. Guests like Brian Coates, Carla Martinez, and Tani have talked about the rack wars and how there were fundamental differences in how you actually worked. Brian told me this story about walking into the fashion closet when you were preparing a shoot and you looked up and said, he actually said this was one of the best lessons he's learned. You said, "Excuse me, who are you? I'm sorry, who asked you to come in here? Go sit down. When we need you, we'll call you." He said you were teaching him he had to earn the right to be there. Harper's editors dressed mannequin forms. Vogue editors used fit models. There was a whole different way of organizing the racks, a different protocol. Besides the culture, you already know the players. But did you feel there was a difference in how just the office was run when you started?
Tani and I ran the fashion department. We actually ran it.
Right.
Well, I was fashion director. I didn't run the department. Do you know what I mean?
Right. So it was how you wanted it.
Yeah, because don't forget, we all basically came in at the same time, the same day. We all turned up at the same time, so we're all there. So you can put your flag down where you want it. And Tani and I are very good friends, but we're also very similar.
So it's not the Harper's way, it's the Paul and Tani way.
Well, no,
basically.
Well, the way the fashion department ran was.
Exactly.
But the whole magazine was Liz's way. So we all had that warmth. If you were not warm, you're not staying there.
Right.
Because it's not the vibe for you. And,
right.
I mean, but Liz was still from British Vogue. It's still a Vogue. And the culture of Vogue is very different.
Right.
And so Tani and I were doing a shoot. So we used to sit with Liz, we'd sit down at her desk and she would say something and then we'd talk about our shoots and then Tani would say something or I would say something and the other one would say, I have on my rack. I think it'd be better for your shoot.
Oh, no way.
And so we would trade clothes off. So when I got to Vogue.
Rack wars.
And I did not know. So Tani and I and all the others, we all worked in the closet because the closet's the biggest space you could have.
Right.
Because I don't wear the clothes. Like with men's clothes, I understand the clothes.
Right.
But with women's clothes, you can't tell the proportion.
Right.
I don't like to use a fit model because the head that comes out of the clothes.
Right.
So I start dressing the head.
Right. Okay. I see. And
so I dress what the face is. And so I don't want to see the face because that's not the face it's going to be wearing.
Right. Okay.
So I just put it on a generic mannequin.
Right.
It doesn't have a head.
Right.
It doesn't have hands or feet, but it has legs and arms. And I would dress the mannequin, which is something I learned from doing a show with Anna Sui. When we did her first show, she had her dress forms and she would do the dress forms and then we'd know what we wanted. And then the girl would come in and then you tweak it according to the girl.
Right.
Anyway, so that's how I started. And then Tani started to do it. Everyone kind of did it that way. And when we would put the clothes together, we would sit with each other.
Right.
I would be doing something, and then Tani would stand and go.
So that's what Brian was talking about. He was like, what's all this? What's going on in here? Because he hadn't seen that before, that type of people together looking,
Yeah, well, we're from the thing that we're at the same magazine and our goal is to have the magazine be successful.
Right.
Also, at this point, editors' names didn't used to be on the pages.
You know what? That's right.
So, Keisha, the first time you'll ever see someone's name appear on the page, it's Keeble Cavaco.
Wow.
So Keisha and Brian Bantry, when we worked for European magazines, fought for it. So when we did things, so that's the first thing you're seeing. And then you start to see them because people had freelance editors then.
Right.
So you'd start to see.
Right. Otherwise, it's just the magazine did it.
So then
Right.
when we went to Bazaar, Liz wanted us to put our names because that was by then the practice. And I said, I think we don't want that. We want them to think it's the magazine's point of view.
Right. Right.
Like, we don't want them looking at it going, Paul did a shitty sitting this month.
Yes.
I did a better sitting, but because then they start looking at it as this way they
Absolutely.
didn't know. People still
Yeah,
don't
that
know who
made
did what.
that
Tommy
really
did-
makes sense, though. I mean,
So that's how we started it. And
Yeah.
the minute I left Bazaar, the names went on the page. So the one shoot that I was so pissed off about ended up with my name on it. So
because that's the only way you're going to share clothes, people, is if there's no names.
no, I think
Well, but it really, I mean,
Vogue was always, I think it's the nature. Vogue was the same.
they were going to do it no matter what.
It was the same in the 70s. Keisha telling me a story about how she had put together a shoot. She then comes into work and all the accessories are gone. And someone took them. Flash, 20 years later, I'm doing a shoot. And I work in the closet. Everybody usually works in their, like outside
Right.
their office.
Right,
But I
exactly.
work in the closet because I need the space
Yep.
and I want to put music on.
Yep.
Anna doesn't
Smoke.
like music because Anna thinks that you sound like you're working in a factory,
Yep.
but have
Yep.
music on.
Yep.
And so me and my assistant are dressing mannequins, and I was having a blast. I always,
Yeah.
I think working is fun, and
Yeah.
I think what we do is fun.
Yeah.
But so one day I come into work, and Joanna Giacovini is my sister. She goes, "Go talk to Candy." So I go to Candy Pratt's Price, and I had asked for these hats that look like clouds from Yoji for my shoot. And Candy said to me when I called in the stuff, she goes, "You have to put those in your closet and lock it." And I said, "No." She said, "Someone's going to take them." I said, "No one's going to take them. They're mine. You called them in for me. They're on my thing.
Yeah.
They're mine." I come in. Candy says, "Someone's taken the hats." I then get a phone call from the editor saying, "I'm shooting with Mr. Penn and I needed something." And they were there. So I took them.
Oh my God.
So it was like, okay, now I get it.
Yep.
Now I get what's going on here.
Yeah.
So that was, So Anna told me two things. So I go to you asked about the interview with Anna.
Yeah,
So I go
yeah.
for my interview. She says, "Do you want to shoot couture?" I said, "I don't really care." She goes, "Good, because Grace always shoots it. So you're not going to get it." So I said, "Fine." Then she said, "Do you need to go to Europe?" I said, "No, I don't need to go. Very happy being home."
Yeah. For your kid too.
And she was like, well, Connie at this point is 17.
Oh,
So,
okay. So it's
okay. But the first thing I do is I get there and I'm set right off to the first selection. But so Anna tells me those are my jobs. So my job is to do the clothes nobody wants to shoot, mostly the advertisers, and
all the covers and celebrities.
And then she tells me that I shouldn't listen to anybody, which will come in a second important. So she said, "Don't listen to anybody."
Yeah. So, she is so,
and so
so brilliant. What I was talking to Candy and I was talking to someone else about this. She knew everything that was going on at all times. She knew. People might not have known she saw that or heard that, but she was always aware.
Yeah. Because I knew Anna a little bit.
Yeah.
Before that, and what had happened also, I have to go back a second to just talk about Anna, because I had a very, very nice relationship with Anna. She was so nice. She was so nice to me. So it's Keeble, Cavaco, and Duca. Keeble's dead. Duca's dead. I'm left. I'm the least sort of front-facing person of the three of us.
Mm.
John's the fabulous writer. Key's just kind of like, sort of the mastermind of it. And I'm like, whatever, I think, right? So Anna's going to do the fashion, there was a thing called the fashion group, and what they would do is they would present the collections to the New York people that didn't go to the collections in Europe.
Mm.
And one of the magazines, they'd ask different people to sort of like be the ones. So Anna was going to do it, and she wanted Keeble, Cavaco, and Duca, which was still there at that time, as that, to do it, to produce the show. And Fashion Group said no, because we had done a show for them that was quite controversial. Like really, like we had a transgender model on the stage. There were things that they were not ready for,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah.
And so they were like, no. And then Anna said, I won't do it if you don't have them do it. And
Wow.
so because she did that, it allowed people to see that we were still viable, even without Keisha.
Wow. Wow.
I mean, she flexed
Yep.
for the memory of them, whatever
Wow.
the reason
Got
was.
chills. Yeah.
But it's something that was a conscious thing for her
Right.
that helped me. So I've always felt very warmly towards, because she was always very nice. We didn't know each other well at all.
Right.
Does it anyway, right? She knew John very well. She knew Keisha a little bit, me barely. But when I go there, the first day at work, Anna calls me in her office, and I go in and I sit down. I mean, she has metal chairs. It's not the
Right.
most comfortable seat.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I sit down, we blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
We get up and I leave, standing outside, because my office, don't forget, was right next to hers.
Right.
And Grace and Phyllis are standing there. And they're like, what happened? I go,
Yep.
I don't-
I can picture.
I said, I don't know. I went in, I sat down, and they said, you sat down? I was like, I had no idea of any of the. So I'm like, because I don't have that.
Of course.
I think these are people I'm working with. These are my compatriots. You know, so this is,
Right.
you know, these are my colleagues. And even though Anna's my boss, she's also my colleague.
Right.
So I don't think anything of these things, but I'm getting my lesson right away.
Yeah.
So I go then to talk to this writer. There was a writer at Vogue called Charles Gandy, and I
Of
tell him what
course, yeah.
happened. And he said to me, you have 2 minutes with Anna, and the second one's a courtesy. And
I love it.
it was the most brilliant comment. And from that moment
That is
on,
brilliant.
from that moment on, when I went in to see Anna, I stood,
Yeah.
she'd say blah, blah, blah. I go blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
blah, 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 and then we'd be done.
Yep.
That was it. If I was doing a shoot, sometimes I would just call her. And one time I called her and said, this is what I'm thinking. I have all these photographs of ideas. So
Right.
they're on my wall. Do you want me to take them down, or do you just want to walk over here and look at them? So she said, I'll come over. Walked over, looked at them.
Oh.
I mean, she was clearly my boss.
No, but Paul, I'll tell you, like my experience being trained by someone to be her first assistant, being told she likes blue file folders, right? So then I'm taking over the office and I have pink for B because I'm doing all their health insurance, all of that stuff. Yellow for Charlie, blue for Anna. The old assistant comes by my office and says, oh my God, you have colored file folders. Didn't I not tell you Anna only likes blue? I'm like, if I get fired for colored, but sometimes you just have to. But it's almost like this urban myth of like things you can't do. And she wants you to be yourself. Like,
well, it's funny because I used to do PR for Gianni Versace. And I'm doing the ads with Donatella. And we're at the Penn studio. Someone I know who works for Penn says to me, you know, you have to be quiet. There's not music. There's not this thing. So, okay. I go in, and it's Christy Turlington, Linda Evangelista, Yasmin Gori, you know, all these people
everyone,
there.
yeah.
And it's Kevin O'Quan and Orbe. You know, Kevin O'Quan doing makeup, Orbe doing.
Yeah.
So we all know each other really, really well. We've been in 1,000 different studios together.
Right.
So we're laughing. And the
Yeah.
dressing room is this tiny, tiny, tiny dressing room. So we're all stacked in this dressing room. They're doing the hair and makeup. We're laughing our heads off.
Yeah.
Penn comes in, sticks his head in the dressing room, and I think, oh, fuck. And he goes, "It's been so long since I've heard laughter in the studio."
Wow.
And from that day on, it was several days of shooting. And he would come in the morning. And during this time, came out in the paper that I was leaving Keble, Cavaco, and Duca and going to Bazaar. Came in with like the thing from page 6 saying, "I hear you're going to Harper's Bazaar."
Wow.
So we ended up having a very, very pleasant. I mean, in the studio, he's the boss. Anna's my
Right.
boss. So
Right.
you listen to your boss, but I was allowed to be me,
Right.
and there's a quieter me. But,
Right.
I mean, when
Right.
I left, even though Anna was very annoyed at me leaving, she gave me, it's when those little CD players came out that you could play, videos on.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Not videos, but you know what I
Yeah.
mean, like
Yeah. Yeah.
movies.
Yeah.
And that's what you would take on the plane with you and stuff.
Yeah.
Gave me one of those with a note that said, and of course I don't have it anymore, something like, "I'm going to miss your laughing in the hallways." Because
Wow.
you know how I
Yeah,
thought,
but that's amazing because you think it's just told to you that you're not supposed to have things that she can smell. Like Leslie Freemark goes, "I had an eating disorder because you wouldn't let me order food." But they all get passed down and you don't even know where
well, and
you.
it morphs into something else.
Yes, yes.
But I got that, I thought, oh my God, I didn't know I laughed so loud. But apparently I did. I had the office next to her. But I thought everything was funny at Vogue because I couldn't believe what I was seeing half the time.
Right, right.
Like I would set up, because I was allowed to smoke, right? So I would smoke in my office. And at one point, my office was all the way at the end of the hall. So I could see everybody else's offices and they'd be running
Right.
in. So Joanna, my assistant, and I, we'd be smoking cigarettes
Yeah.
and I would take a rack and put it in front of the door and say, "This is our television screen. You're only allowed to look straight ahead and watch TV." And we would watch everyone running in and out of the offices like chickens, like we were watching
Yeah.
TV and just,
Oh, that's what Carla, Brian, they all talk about. Like,
we just start laughing.
because they were
our
the
heads
ones
off.
running.
Yeah. Well, no, it was, you'd see the editors going in
Oh,
and
yeah.
out. There was a lot of stuff
Yeah,
going
no,
on.
it's true. And I would have to.
Yeah,
I
so
mean, I had to go get Trudy out of the bathroom. Like, if Anna wanted to see you, Anna wanted to see you. I remember Amy Astley being pregnant and Anna saying, "Is she walking backwards or something?" And I was like,
no, but Vogue was fine.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They would, but with Vogue was fine with Anna. Anna, I have no complaint
Yeah.
about it. Didn't micromanage me.
Right.
I mean, she'd say, "No, I don't want you to shoot that. That's fine. I won't shoot it." Or I'd say to
Exactly.
her, "I'm going to take it." But usually I trusted her as much as she trusted me.
And that's
And
it.
she would, I was in the car with her a lot to
Yeah.
go to shows. She would ask me questions because B was at that point like
Right.
just turning into a teenager.
Yeah.
And I already
Yeah.
had a full teenager. Like,
Right.
so she would ask me
There's
questions.
connections there too.
Yeah. In the end, I left because I was unhappy. And now looking back, I felt like because I thought I got the shitty clothes, which I signed on for it. So it
Right.
wasn't like I was getting them. I felt I wasn't expressing myself.
Right. Well, there's only so long, and you're getting a huge title too.
Yeah. Well, I had a huge job. Now I look back because I look at what Tawny did. And I think Tawny got infinitely better every year. It got more and more intricate and beautiful and stuff. So I thought, it's me. I realized, oh, I could have done more. I felt everyone was disappointed in me because Grace, I think, wanted me to do what I did at Bazaar. And I didn't do that. I did something different.
Well, I want to talk about you and Meisel at this point because you dominated Vogue covers. When I counted them, it's amazing. Meisel shot nearly every cover and you styled all of them. So I want to know, though, at this time period, what was it about that partnership that worked so well for those Vogue covers? And now having worked at Vogue and looking through all your covers, I know Anna is very specific about what makes a Vogue cover. There was the formula, 3/4 blue sky, rarely studio. I don't even think I saw a studio in all of those covers when I was
We
going
didn't do a
through them.
studio. We would do a location one, but
Right,
never a studio
exactly.
one.
And then reshoots were more common than not. It wasn't until much later that she was more open to a surprise cover. But as the cover editor, what did you learn from working with Anna and Stephen about how to deliver a cover on the first try that would get the AW okay? And tell me about working with Stephen for Vogue on covers specifically.
To do the covers. So we had worked together since the beginning of his
Yeah.
career, the very
Yeah.
beginning of his career. So we were used to working with each other
Right.
with no one watching us. No one. We did
Right.
ads. We did ads for everybody, and no one ever came to the studio. There was no art director. There was no nothing. There was no one doing props. It was Stephen, me. He had 2 assistants. I had no assistant.
Right.
He had Orbe or Francois Nars or whoever we had doing makeup. At that time, no assistant either. They had just started, right? So we were
Right.
used to having a very small thing and used to doing what we wanted. We get to Vogue, and it's formulaic. I come
Yeah.
from Bazaar where there was no formula.
Right.
So I got there, and I think he felt pigeonholed into doing it with the formula.
Mm.
And I remember the first time I did a cover, we were shooting, I think it was Amber, and she was all in like Donna Karan, all caramel color, and she was tan and she was caramel colored and blonde in that moment. And it was all like, Monica. And I was like, oh my God, she's so beautiful. And Laura Mercier was doing the makeup, and she said, beware of beauty. Because if we think it's too beautiful, it's because it needed to. And so it was just a funny thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was 3/4. Anna did make me do accessories one time on the covers, and it was on Helmut Lang, the person you should not be doing accessories on. And I was so bitter. I was like, oh God, this is going to be terrible. And it was. It was tough because it was formulaic.
Right.
And Stephen was then doing these Italian Vogue covers that were
Right.
just so loose and beautiful and
Right.
anything. And Bazaar was more like that, not exactly.
More art. Yeah, it felt more
that.
of an art magazine for
And
sure.
so I was struggling because I couldn't figure out. Like Grace was brilliant at it, Tani was brilliant at it. I myself couldn't figure it out. I think I just started to like shut down.
Yeah.
And of course I blamed the magazine when in fact, now when I look back, because I've had to talk about my career,
Right.
when I look back, I think, oh, I was being a brat.
You know what I was most surprised about? Going back through each one of those, Stella in like a windbreaker. Like, I was just so shocked at how casual. Yes, they were designer, but I never, when I was at Vogue, were they as day.
But I think different time period.
Yeah.
We're now talking about, people are wearing slips and lingerie as clothing.
Right.
Outside clothing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I know it's the time period.
People
I was
are
just
not
like,
the people are not doing accessories, and casual clothes were done in very, very expensive fabric. So suddenly
right.
sport was now creeping into regular
Right.
dress. So it was a different time. It was so funny because we did the Stella cover with, I think she's wearing an orange
Yes.
windbreaker.
Yes.
The cover is barking. It's so ugly. It's a dog.
I mean, you had tough clothes. Like,
Well, the
Tani had
clothes weren't
much. Yeah, it's a different
the
thing
clothes
what
did
you had
not
to
make
work
a
with.
statement. They were just, but it was like a pretty girl, sunlight, smile, like you said, blue sky.
Yeah.
So in that picture, we were shooting. God's going to strike me with lightning, so be grateful you're not standing near me, which will be hit. Because, and some winter we'd go to Mar-a-Lago to shoot there.
Oh my God.
Because it had enough different places for us to shoot. We would fly down in the daytime, and we do like several cover tries. We do, because it was models then. So we do like 3 different models and try different covers. And so Stella was one of the girls, and she's in this windbreaker, and there's trees. The cover comes out, the trees are gone, and it's blue sky.
Oh my God.
And so I see Stella, I said, "Oh my God, I am so sorry. It is the ugliest cover in captivity." And she said, "I don't care. I got a Vogue cover. My
Yeah.
rate just went up. That's all I
Wow.
care about." She said, "So I don't care. Thanks."
I
But I
mean,
was like mortified. And I'm sure, and I think Grace, when she, because Stephen had told Grace when I was that I wanted to leave Bazaar, and Grace is the one that told Anna. So I think Grace was hoping that she would have someone as equally as, you know,
mm,
give it over to. And I was
right.
like, Anna once asked me to do the front of the book when I got there to do a picture for the front. So I was like, fine. And Phyllis and Grace were like, "You can't do the front of the book." I said, "But she's my boss. She asked me to do it.
Yeah.
So I did it." Like, I don't care. I'm doing a shoot. It's a
Yeah.
magazine.
Yeah.
But it became much more specific, like, where your place was in
Right.
there. So I didn't think about my place because I thought I always think
Right.
my place is fine.
Okay. I saw this with Edward too. It's almost like the squeaky wheel does get what they want.
The thing is, we would have a meeting for who was going to shoot, and they would
Right.
you get a
And
piece of paper,
yeah, and who you want to shoot with. Yep.
not who you want to shoot with. I did not have the choice. So it would be
Oh, it was always
literally
Meisel, I guess.
no for the cover. So
Oh,
I did a
for,
cover, so that was
yeah.
Meisel. But everything else, you'd see Coddington, whoever it was. It would be Coddington, Meisel. Usually they would do the lead, right? So it's Coddington,
Right.
Meisel. Phyllis would have pen or
Right.
helmet.
Helmet. Yeah.
Right, so that was her. Camilla would have, Mario or someone young and stuff.
Yeah.
And then it would be someone under contract, whoever that might be, and
Right.
blank. So the name, so it's like, and I would always say, because I don't have a filter
Right.
sometimes,
Right.
and I would just say, well, I guess that's my shoot because my name isn't anywhere on here. So I would get the person that was under contract that nobody wanted to shoot with.
Oh my
And
God.
I would then get the clothes that nobody wanted to shoot. So I'd have
Right.
all the advertisers with the person.
Oh my
So
God.
I got Stephen for the cover, but sometimes I would get him to do a shoot.
But here's the
And
thing.
then
I also want to ask about the cover because when I was going through sometimes to find hair and makeup, I have to go through the shoot. Sometimes the cover is just a cover.
cover was just a
Oh,
cover.
so you didn't even get a story with it.
We just did covers.
Because that Giselle,
Just
I
covers.
couldn't find her story.
We would have, that was the old
She was with a girl. That might have been the story of on the benches, or is it just the cover? A separate
That was
just
just a cover. That was
oh
just
my God.
we went to
So you didn't even get a whole shoot attached to the cover.
no, that came later on. We would just do covers. So that's why. So there was no content.
Right. There was
Wasn't like
yes.
so that you would
Building a
just,
story or anything. It was
yeah. So
formulaic. You
it
have
was
the
it was a girl standing outside
yeah.
and with nothing. So she would just be standing. There was
Yeah.
nothing. She wasn't a character. She wasn't.
Right. She
She was
hadn't
just
lived
a
that
Vogue
day around
cover.
the city.
Yeah.
No. Oh my
So
God.
so it became hard for me.
Wow. Yes.
And
Okay. Because
and
that
and
is something we never did after that. A
yeah.
solo. If it was a reshoot, that's the only time that could have been budget reasons or anything else, but that was part of a story.
Yeah.
So the fact that you only,
So
Oy.
that's yeah. So that made it a little more
Yeah.
difficult.
Yeah. That
Um,
makes complete sense.
and then, you know, I would do like a shoot. I remember one time because at Vogue, every year you go into Anna's office and she would give you a review because I think legally that's what they had to do. So the first time I go in, I've never had a review, right? So I go in and she says, it's like months have passed. I was supposed to have it months before. I
Right.
didn't know about it. I go in, she goes, "You were supposed to have this months before." I didn't do it. She said, "I'm supposed to tell you whether you're doing well." And she goes, "Of course you're doing fine." Da, 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 da. And she said, "Do you have anything you want to tell me?" I said, "Well, actually, um, I was told that the reason you're running the story by this photographer is because you felt bad for me because the last few shoots, every time I go somewhere, it pours rain. And I end up having to like go somewhere else to do, like
Right,
go inside to be
right.
able to shoot. And she looked at me and said, Paul, what did I tell you when you first got here? Don't listen to anybody. I don't
Wow.
run what I
No.
don't like.
Never.
I would never run it if I didn't think it was fine to put in the magazine.
Yeah, she doesn't
Don't let-
care about people's feelings when it comes to that. It's her magazine. I just
So it
can't
was-
believe people even said that to you.
Well, I had no idea because I knew everyone for so long. And I would come in and tell Joanna, my assistant, and she'd go, Paul, they're being mean to you. I go, but I've known them for years.
Yeah.
They're friends of mine. And she goes, Paul, they're being mean to you. And it's when I learned what frenemies were.
Right.
Boys don't usually have frenemies.
Right.
Or we're not aware of it. Like
Yeah.
girls are much more aware of what's going on. And so when you have a young assistant, so they're in their early 20s.
Yeah.
So they're still in kid time and they're really telling, like, Joanna told me what time it was every day. You know, it's like, this is what's going on. This is what they said to you. This is not nice. This is
Yeah.
like I learned a lot from Joanna Jacovini.
Yeah.
Because I didn't understand politics in that way. I'm sure I play them, but I'm not aware of it.
Right.
And I usually say what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Unless I'm really being beat up. And I wasn't up there, but I just thought.
But it's a whole thing. It's definitely.
It's a different way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And basically all I wanted was, like I had said in that one interview, is I wanted just one cover.
Right.
I just wanted to know that I mean, Andre was there, but Andre really didn't do shoots.
Right.
During Grace Marabella's time, there was Robert Turner, who then became an interior designer, but he was one of the editors. And then I think Paul Sinclair came when Anna came and stuff, and no Latin person.
Yeah. No, it's a different.
And I think everyone thinks they're not the right thing. You think it's either like I'm a guy in a world where there's mostly women doing women's clothes, not men's clothes. That was the difference. I'm Latin in a world that's waspy, or had been when I started. It was very waspy. I've heard things that people have said, like, you sure he can do it? He is, after all. And it was like,
Oh my God.
so when I started, it was a very, very
Yeah.
different thing.
Yeah.
So I never quite felt in those places like I
Yeah.
But where I belonged always was the studio. Because it was a world, everybody was there. All different nationalities, all different genders, all different, that was always fine. I always loved I loved shooting because of that.
Yeah.
And there was a camaraderie there because you had a mutual goal that you were all trying to reach.
Right.
When I was at Bazaar, we treated the magazine like we had a mutual goal that we wanted to reach. I think Anna treats it like we are all part of this mutual goal that we're trying to get somewhere. I think what happened was there was a lot of competition,
Absolutely.
which was Vogue. It had been that way.
Tons. No, but I never understood it for me. I just didn't. Like, the best dress you get for the cover. It was obvious what was going on.
If you could pry it out of someone's hand.
But it was
and
Anna did not get involved with that stuff. She just didn't, like, she wasn't. She was not going to. But then again, my whole thing that I was annoyed about was, we're shooting a cover. The editor, please don't go back to Anna and say how difficult the celebrity was. And don't do it because you're trying to cover, in case she doesn't like it, you're going to blame it on the celebrity. Let's let her see it. If she doesn't like it, tell her everything that happened. And then I'd get the call, Jill, so-and-so said Sarah Jessica was blah, blah. I'm like, the pictures haven't even come in yet. Let's not start there. You know what I mean? I just really didn't want to start there.
I never really talked about the shoot. I never really talked about Vogue because my whole thing was, it's like Vegas. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Right.
What happens at Vogue stays at Vogue. I'm sorry. I'm talking out of school now a little bit. But if I really went there.
Yeah. This is just, it's the dynamic of the different,
Yeah. And it's just, but
And listen, there's a movie about it. Everybody knows.
The movie,
I mean,
which
there's a documentary. There's Devil Wears Prada coming
yeah,
out
but
too. I mean, and that's how
I
Cy ran the company. Let's be clear. He liked competition within. We were not competing with Hearst. I was competing with Vanity Fair. So it's a trickle down from the boss down.
yeah.
Competition, is how
I
within,
think,
within.
but it was the same way apparently at British Vogue, not because of Anna, because these were
Yeah.
people that had been with B. Miller, not with Anna to
Right,
begin with.
right.
And this was how it was under Grace Marabella, and it was this way. Keisha worked under Diana Vreeland, and it was that way. So it's the culture of Vogue.
Yes.
And I remember Tavares' husband said to Liz, your team gets along too well. You need a little friction there.
Interesting.
And Liz told Tani and I, and we were like, it's just not going to happen with us.
Right.
In fact, when Tani and I, we overlapped like a little over like a month and a half at Vogue. What had been my office was going to be her office.
Right.
I had these chairs at Bazaar. She brought the chairs to Vogue. So our chairs are sitting there. Tani's now sitting at the desk because she's the editor, the fashion director, and I'm sitting in one of the chairs that was ours. And we're having a grand old time. Right. And I'm thinking, why am I leaving?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, why am I leaving? Because I wanted that.
Right.
And I thought because I knew everyone at Vogue, I was going to get that, but it wasn't the culture there.
No.
And it is the top magazine for a very good reason.
Right.
I think the fact that Anna's not your best friend, she's your boss. Right. In the same way that as a parent, like people say, oh, you and your daughter are so close, you're really close friends. I said, we're not friends.
Right.
I'm her dad. And I have to remain her dad until I'm feeble or something and she starts having to take care of me. But until that happens, even though she's a grown-up with 2 teenage kids, I'm still her dad and I have to take care of her. I don't know things about Anna. I don't need to know anything.
No, it's how she was raised too. She has a newspaper editor father, and it's just there was no personal that mixed with business, period, full stop. I get nice cards from her that I have all of them. She would take on that role, a motherly role out of the office. I'd get a letter at home, and it never crossed over that way. Things like that.
It was perfect. I have to say, I loved her as a boss. I did.
Yeah.
I mean, there were things that annoyed me, like the way she would go through the covers like in a split second and pick them. And I go, why this one, not the one next to it when her eye is actually open, Anna?
Exactly.
Then it was like they'd come in slide forms. And then
it was almost too decisive, too quickly.
And she would have a loop.
Yes.
The listener is, it's like a magnifying glass to make and it would be on the light box. And she would go at breakneck speed, touching the ones she wanted. And the person had to pick them up off the light table to get.
Yeah.
And Stephen would call me and go, why that one? Why not? Like, why number 36? Why not 35 where her eye is actually open? That we have to now retouch to open up her eye. So there were things like that.
Yeah.
But never as a person. Like she was always, the real reason. So I was thinking of going freelance. And I'm going to talk about it now because we have talked about it. Linda's talked about it. But I was going to go freelance. And I think I hadn't said anything. And Polly Mellon left Allure. And Linda called me and said, what would you think about coming here? So I was like, oh, okay. So we meet. And her condition was we had to go somewhere where no one would see us. And my condition was you had to be able to smoke at the place.
Interesting.
So it happened with Anna too. Anna and I one time, we're in Europe and Anna has to have lunch with a designer. And we're going to have lunch at Beach, and you can smoke there. This is when you could still smoke everywhere. But like when you're with Anna, you don't smoke.
Right. Except you're Natasha Richardson, who would smoke in her office. Yeah.
So she says, will you come to lunch, blah, 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 because I need someone to sort of like plant interference. I was like, okay. I said, I'll go if I can smoke while we're having lunch. She was like, fine.
Wow.
Because
Yeah.
everybody else, if we're in
Yeah.
Italy,
Yeah. Of course.
everyone
Yeah.
else
Yeah.
is smoking.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it wasn't like I was just
Of course.
adding a few more puffs to what was already like,
Right.
secondhand smoke that was going to kill her anyway. So,
Right.
so she was fine to do that. Anyway, so Linda interviews me at this, I think it's called Donahue's or something, this bar restaurant. I meet with her. She tells me what she's thinking. I tell her what I'm thinking. That time has passed from the beginning where it was a much edgier magazine. It was kind of like anti-beauty, but not really dissected beauty. And the pictures were still sort of grungy. And that time had passed. And I said, I think we need to make it beautiful. If you're fine with that, I'll come. But you're not supposed to poach anyone from one Condé Nast magazine to the other. It's not allowed.
Right.
So you have to go to the
Right.
boss and actually say,
Yes, exactly.
it's actually beginning of June, right? Or the end of June. And Kate Betts has been rumored to be becoming the editor-in-chief of Harper's
Right.
Bazaar.
Yes.
But it's rumored, and Kate has gone off to have paternity leave. So
Is that how it all happened?
Yeah, so she's gone off.
Okay, because that's when I got promoted, was when Dita went over there too. So this is all.
Okay, but she's gone on maternity leave. So I'm thinking, this is great. I can now talk to Anna, because I thought if losing, Kate, who was a big deal at Vogue, and then for me to follow that is not going to be great.
No, right, not great.
I have an appointment to see Anna, and who walks through the door just before? Kate Betts.
Shit.
And then I have to go in.
Oh my God.
I think I went the next day.
Yeah.
I don't think I went the same day.
Oh my
Like a
God.
day or two later. And I say to Anna, you know that Polly has left Allure. And I was setting it up to say that I wanted to interview for the job.
Right.
And she would have, usually they let you go interview because they're not going to stop. But that was the correct way to do it.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Before you have any discussion, yes, of course.
So I tell her this, and she stands up and yells at me.
Oh.
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. But I thought I had set it up so I looked like I had done it correctly, but I hadn't. She knew it. So she was really angry.
Had it already come to her?
No, but I think she's a smart gal.
Yeah, that's the thing. She always knows.
And she had just lost Kate, so I think it was
just
not.
Oh, that time period, trust me, I was working for her. That time period was no bueno.
So she tells me, this is July. She tells me I can't leave till the end of the year. Who's going to hold a job for you for 6 months?
Oh, shit.
It's like, okay. So they bring in all these people that they're test driving for fashion directors and stuff,
Right. But what did Linda say about
me not coming right away?
Yeah.
I wasn't happy, but, what could she do?
But so it's funny that Anna said you can't leave till the end of the year when you had set it up that you hadn't even talked to Linda yet.
So it was,
you know what I mean?
So that's why she knew.
She knew, of course.
She knew something. Of course. But it happened fairly fast. It wasn't like for Kate, it lingered on for a while. There was a lot of, with me, also, not such a big deal going from one magazine to another.
You weren't going to the Enemy. Let's be clear. There was.
So finally it happens, right? And then people toddled in my office from Vogue telling me that I was making a very big mistake.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that because, you've talked about kind of why, but in 1999, at the peak of this Vogue success, you surprised everyone by leaving for Allure. You've said, I left Vogue in 99 because Polly Mellon had left Allure and there was an open creative director job. I wanted to have a say in how things were laid out and the look of the magazine. Allure was struggling with their visuals at the time. The writing was great, but Linda Wells wanted help changing the look. I went in and she gave me a lot of freedom. Unless she didn't like it, and then we'd We had to get into it. I'm obviously high strung and a little bit opinionated. I want things to work out, but I can also be talked out of it. I know who my boss is. Sometimes it just comes down to a difference of opinion. Allure is a beauty magazine, but we tried to make it more fashiony. We tried to make it a little bit more cinematic. I put in 16 years there and I loved it. You've also said, for me, it was the opportunity to be a part of the art department and have a say in the way the magazine in total looked. Linda was great about it, asked if I wanted to do it, and it was heaven. I like everything to be distinct. A parent is your parent. I'm not your friend. She was my boss. So I'm always good, which is why it was good with Anna, because I wanted to always know what the final word is. I might not always agree with the final word, but I will align with the final word. They chose covers where I wanted a different cover, but they have the last word, and I'm good to take a back seat. I mean, really. I'm good as an editor with the photographer in the lead, and I'm the second. So you stayed for 16 years. So I just wanted to kind of set the scene with some of your words about that crossover. But I was interested because you're going from, Vogue. Like, you're not going to have the same photographers, although you did at the beginning. I mean, you got a lot of photographers to shoot with you that.
Well, yeah, because I think, but then the contracts were ending; they were getting rid. So I got Patrick, back.
Because I was surprised at how many. I mean, you had Mario over there, like.
Well, those were also Bazaar kids. They were all from
right,
Bazaar.
right.
And I had done a little bit of Mario with Vogue, but I had mostly done in Bazaar.
Right.
And yeah, I don't say I liked going to Allure. I liked it. I was kind of done with Vogue because I just felt I couldn't express myself, but I think at the time I was blaming the situation. I was a full-on grown-up when I worked at Vogue. I was very adult. I'm in my 40s throughout of that. So I'm an adult.
Yeah.
I have a child that's about to turn 20. It's not like I'm old.
Right.
But I'm an adult. But I'm going to use the word bratty, but I wasn't bratty. I think I got stuck and I couldn't unstick myself.
Yeah.
And
you can't.
Nobody's fault. I could blame the circumstances, but I now
But you didn't know coming from where you did how important those first, what you say no to, what you don't say yes to, all those things, right? To almost set you up to go in a different direction. It's almost by playing a good employee and we're all in this together, you got stuck because it was almost
but I was but that was my fault. It was really my fault because I think, I mean, I agree with you. That was all those things. But again, like my daughter always says, when I complain about I can't get on my computer, something's going on, she'll say, Dad, it's the user, not the device.
Yeah.
So it really was like, there was a way to work it out. And I just could not see. But I also was unhappy with sort of the way people were with each other.
Yeah. No, it's tough. It's very, very tough.
And for me, it's like, I want to be happy all the time.
Yes.
I've had enough grief in my life, as everyone has had.
Yes.
We've all had a lot of sorrow and stuff. And it's also, as a parent, I didn't have to work. I can choose the job.
Right. But Paul, I have to say, things changed when I had a daughter in particular, and I was talking to someone, to Ned Martell about this the other day. I started hearing things that I just didn't hear before I had a kid, and then coming home when you have a child with that, there was no limit on time. You didn't leave the office and left work. The only time I didn't have a call from Anna would be Christmas Day. Wheeled into surgery, had a call, booked a cover from a hospital bed. Yeah, and again, I had no boundaries. So this is my fault too, but I started as an assistant. So it's hard to kind of create those. But there comes a time where it's like, I mean, of course, my time was 20 years later, but where you have to kind of make that decision. And when other people are involved, that decision is more important.
Yeah, and I think I also thought it's not, I have the luxury of being able to choose a job,
Right.
as opposed to like, I have to do the job because I need the money, or that this is all that's available to me given my narrow circumstances. I didn't have that. I had a luxury of being able to
Yeah,
choose.
and you
And
got
I
your
thought,
one
why,
cover, you got like over
yeah,
30.
but I also thought, well, I can't show my child that you stay somewhere where you're unhappy. Like,
Yeah, I said the minute I don't want to go to work is when I leave.
yeah. So I thought this is not a good thing because it's work takes a big part of your day.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you better
Love it. It's
love it.
funny though, because if you think about everyone's lifers, like you like are the anomaly. Like people die there. I'm sorry, they do. Like
I know, but yeah, I think
very few people leave on making the decision to. That's what I'm saying.
I think I had the fortune of having been married to Keisha.
Mm.
And I think she was, for the time period, because we're talking about the early 70s, full woman's lib, fully a waspy person, going fully against that. There was so many things that she, as a woman, would stand up for things. And so it was watching someone like that who was always who she was.
Right.
We started the business one way, we ended up somewhere else, and we did it because she had this idea. She wanted to do something.
Yeah.
And so it was like, that's then, this is now, let's keep moving.
Yeah.
So I didn't think of work as staying somewhere. I thought of it
Right.
as,
Oh yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
I was like, what's the next thing in front of you? Like she would always say, just do the thing in front of you. And sometimes the thing in front of you was, I'm unhappy, I have to move.
Right.
And so that was the thing. Also, I have a strong enough personality that I don't think of myself as Paul Cavaco from Vogue.
Right. Of course.
I would never call, I would
Yes.
never in
I
my
see.
life have called to get a restaurant reservation
Yes.
using Vogue
Yes.
as the thing.
Yes.
Like,
That's so interesting. You
and
had
I
had a
never,
whole life before it too, you
yeah,
know.
and also it's just like that's not the identity.
Right.
It
Right.
can't be because I think once you attach yourself to that when you lose it, what
Yep.
happens to
That's
you?
so important.
And I had Keisha to thank for that way of
Yeah.
thinking.
That's
I've had the great fortune of having had incredible people in my life telling me, and that was fashion. There's so many great, creative, fabulous people in fashion.
and for you, the photographers are a lot of those people. So in every other interview I've done, it's the photographer thanking the editor for giving them their start for that first chance. But your story's the opposite. Bruce Weber, you've talked about him saying he's kind of good at this. Stephen Meisel brought you back to work after Keisha died when you thought you were done. Without them, you wouldn't have been in magazines at all, or at least at the time you did. You've said, the best experience in my fashion career, the opportunity to work with people, incredible fortune. I was married to a brilliant editor stylist, worked with Avedon, and worked with Bruce Weber, who taught me an incredible amount about styling. Then working with Stephen Meisel, with Patrick Demarchelier, the subject would never lose interest. About collaboration, you've said, when you look at a photograph, you get something from the photograph, whether you realize it or not, because there's an emotion behind it, a heart behind it, there's a pulse. And the minute you take that out of the equation, you're just taking pictures. They can be very good pictures, the clothes can be pretty, all that doesn't have to go away, but you don't have the connection. You've described the photographers you've worked with like this. Patrick, you said he is a great portrait photographer. Stephen Meisel, he is the great fashion photographer. There's a great fuck you in the picture. It's always a little bit turned. You always see the clothes, but there's always a little bite to it that you don't expect. Peter Lindbergh, he is the great romantic. There's something very dreamy about the images. Bruce Weber, the great American photographer, loves everything Americana. Herb Ritz, Herb was monumental. Mario Testino, sexy, colorful. David Sims, petulance, a little naughty. This was all from this podcast interview you did. It was so great. Richard Avedon, the most beautiful portraits. You feel something. There's a wink to it. There's a sadness to it. There's a happiness to it when you look at his portraits, even when it's fashion. So I would love you just to talk about the photographer-editor relationship in general and what makes a great collaboration with the photographer. What do you look for in a photographer? And then we'll go deeper on Bruce and Stephen.
So I think the relationship, I guess it's like any relationship. You have to feel some connection when you're with them. With Bruce, for some reason, we connected because we liked Americana. What I think of as Americans is like clean, beautiful, shiny hair. I remember Bruce and I had done these men's ads for Valentino in the late 70s. And the guys came unshaven. They looked a little rough. The hair was crazy. The pictures are fabulous. They're fabulous. But we had people, some of them were not models and stuff, but beautiful, because Bruce has a beautiful eye for picking guys and stuff. So we do these pictures, and the woman from Valentino comes, and they're looking at the Polaroids, and she's like, darling, we want American. All 300 teeth showing, and so I love 300 teeth showing. And we didn't have that. They all looked a little grungy, a little bit sexier and stuff. Yeah. But Bruce taught me all that. Like, that also is American. It's very James Dean. It's very, it's still all those things, maybe modernized, but it's still all those references. I think Bruce is 5 years older than I am. So we're similar in what we've seen. It's the same. So we had the same movie references. We had a lot of the same references. Same with Stephen Meisel. Avedon is significantly older than I am, but I could get into because he had a long enough history for me to know So my feeling always is you style into the picture.
Okay.
So that whatever their picture is, whoever their woman, their man.
So can you give an example? Is it even possible? I'm just winging it, of like how, if it's, I don't know, the same model, the same, let's say, trench or something, like how you would do it, how it would look different, or how you would do it different, or do you not even bring the same?
We could try it that way. So let's say you have a trench coat. Yeah. Each photographer has a personality. Right. And has a light, and the light has a personality. Also, how they like clothes has a personality. And how they create the girl. So let's say, take Linda Evangelista, just because she's a chameleon, so you can just keep changing her. Yeah. So you have it with Avedon. The light is very specific in the studio. Right. It's lit in a very specific way. So you almost feel like you see the human. It's a very specific type of portrait. Okay. You feel like you're getting something of the inside, whether or not you are. You think just exactly the way they look. It's sort of the way they confront the camera with him, because he's very confrontational. Then you go to Penn, who I've worked with only a few times, so I don't really know. But when I look at the pictures, it's much more, for fashion, much more studied. There's a stillness to it. Stephen, the girl always, I said it before, it has a fuck you. They're confronting you. It's not
right. You're not confronting. Yeah.
They're looking at you, and it's like, but they're imitating Stephen, because Stephen is very that. So they're sort of him. So he's like much.
They're
more
watching you watch them.
Yeah, he's much more punky as a person, much more, and so and it's much more his detail. It's very like Avedon, the gesture too, for both of them, what the hands are doing, what the feet are doing, what the pose is. And Stephen is much more cranked. It's like the head is like the shoulder is here, the head is there. He'll say to the person, Like he did it on one of the Vogue shoots we did. He told the celebrity who had not a perfect leg, but he said to her, point the knee in this direction and the ankle in this direction. You can't physically do it. But when you think about it, something happens to your body, and she had suddenly an ankle.
Oh, wow.
So he's
yes
at the gesture, like the moment. And don't forget, it's a second where it's, it's
but
one
is
frame.
she but she's not moving, let's say, with the trench. She's still
She
unlike a
could be
Mario.
moving with either one, with any of them.
Okay, they can be moving. Okay. But Penn is just still.
Penn is still.
Yeah.
Patrick is, to me, it has a more tranquil, placid, that you feel engaged and like invited in.
Right.
Quieter.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful portrait.
Yes.
Like, even the fashion is like, because you feel the girl.
Yes.
Because he likes everyone. They're always so beautiful, no matter what.
Right.
Like, even if the hair is crazy, the makeup's crazy, the person themselves feels beautiful.
Yeah, always.
All of them made the women beautiful. That's also the thing.
Right. But Anna used to say with Meisel that he took the soul out of the woman, where Mario blows it into the woman. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I don't think of Stephen that way. I never felt he took.
Maybe that was a celebrity. Maybe that was that they looked empty. Like it's more total,
because
exactly what he wants them.
I think because when we did the celebrity, he was also doing covers. Because when you look at the celebrities
what it is.
When he did the celebrities for Italian Vogue, it's a different picture.
Yes, no, it's the cover, right?
I think the cover thwarted him. Also, I think he was thwarted by that idea of Vogue having to be a certain thing. Whereas he had the freedom in Italian Vogue, and you really see this, you felt the celebrity in that.
And I think it's with the celebrity too, they don't know each other too. And Mario does a lot of the beautiful, like a lot of the, let's say, when you're getting someone ready, like there's a lot of that blowing them up. Here's
the thing, and I think you maybe didn't see it. We don't see it anymore because I think there's so many people on the set. There's so many behind us. It's just too many things.
Yeah.
But Stephen did spend time. We were always in the makeup room, the hair and makeup. We were always sitting there talking. Celebrity, model, whatever. We're there talking. And so we're getting to know each other.
So that was before the whole,
But I think he just had a thing about the Vogue cover and how Anna wanted it.
Yeah.
That he couldn't unleash. I think he felt differently when he did Italian Vogue. He had more freedom.
Yeah.
So he felt the freedom where he didn't feel it at Vogue. He felt it had to be a certain way.
Yeah, and it did.
Yeah. Mario, I think what you feel about Mario is you feel sort of the person's joy, the person's humanity, the person's, but they're not their humanity, but more their humanity about joy, like the happiness about life, the joie de vivre.
Right. Right, because the whole set's like that.
You're all together. He's very inclusive. I remember at Bazaar, the receptionist said to me, she had been the receptionist at Bazaar before we got there. She said, when we all came, there was the first time that everyone, including the photographers, would tell her good morning with her name attached to it.
Wow.
And so that was that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just different ways of being.
No, that is so true. What else?
They're all slightly different, but they all, like David Sims, I always say was petulant, but he was like little boys.
Yeah, it was more about his pictures. Yeah, they were asking you about.
Yeah.
So and it was.
So they were all, but I think then as the editor, knowing that that's their picture, or what you think their picture is, what their picture they end up doing with you.
Right.
Whatever the assignment is, it's a photograph. You follow the photographer and you style into that. Like, what are we doing? Who is this person? Who is this character we're creating? Who is this woman? Who is this man? It's about clothes, but clothes would just be hanging in a closet or in a shop until it's on a human. And the human is the one that gives it its character. Because everyone wears a shirt. How people wear shirts is so different. How people roll the sleeve, how many
Yeah.
buttons they
Yeah,
open, do they
exactly.
flatten the collar, do they wear it up, do they leave it
Right.
blanket?
That's
So
so
all those,
true. Yeah.
so clothes really are how you express yourself. Keisha would always say, it's the picture that says 1,000 words about you. And so here's a picture, it's about to say a
Right.
thousand words about
Right.
you. Better get the vocabulary right of this person. And
That's so
that's
interesting.
so that's how I approach,
Yeah.
I just approach it. And you try. Sometimes you're successful. I've had a lot of shitty sittings. I've done a
But
lot of
you're
shit.
not trying to get the photographer to do a picture for the magazine. I mean,
No. No,
obviously
because I
you're
think
doing that, but
you
he's already been chosen. So
yeah.
with the
No, it's
assumption that yeah.
I've never told someone to change their light. I don't tell the photographer what to do because he's looking through the lens. He's got to see it. So
Right.
I'm not standing behind the lens. I'm standing next to the person. It's a different point of view.
Right. Right.
So it's their point of view, and you have to kind of align with it. I think you can tweak them. You can make suggestions. That's part of the collaborative
Right.
thing.
Exactly. Exactly.
And everyone has to feel they have the freedom to say, what if she did this? What if this happened?
Right.
Because you do struggle to take a picture because, first of all, we're shooting models. Models are, for the most part, even if they're not beautiful, there's something beautiful about them.
Right.
There's something special about them. So if you put a red lip on them, they're going to look fine. Put a
Right.
blue lip on them, they're going to look fine. They're beautiful.
Right.
So then you have to start making choices. And sometimes you'll think they
Right.
look fabulous. And then you'll think, but something's not speaking to me. Have I pushed it enough?
Oh, that's the Avedon. Where's the surprise, right?
Yeah. Like when he would say
What's
to
the
me,
surprise? Yeah.
like the first time he said to me, I had no idea what he was talking about. I was the beginning of my career. I
Yeah.
had really no fashion talk. Like, what's the surprise? What the fuck are you talking
Yeah.
about? But I knew enough to say, oh, it's the purple sock.
Yeah.
And he would say, okay, and then work around it. So he'd tell the person to pull the
Yeah.
pants up a little bit. It was, yeah. So you have to learn the language
Right.
of the photographer. You have to learn the language of clothes. And you also have to know who the model is and what they're capable of.
Mm.
Because they're collaborating with you. Yes, they're beautiful. And you can take a picture, it's going to be gorgeous because they're beautiful.
Right.
But is it the picture you want? And then you leave out their humanity. And part of what makes them brilliant is what they bring to the photograph.
Right.
You can't exclude that.
Right.
And I think when people talk about modeling, they think that they just stand there and they're beautiful.
Right.
They snap a picture.
Right.
I mean, that was Mario and I. One of the first things that I said to Mario before I worked with him, because he came to Bazaar, I had known Mario and we had brought his book up and we had done a couple of things together before that. But he came to Bazaar and I had looked at his pictures in British Vogue and I said to him, look, Mario, if we do this, you can't, I know that he used to go on location a lot. So you can go in front of, you can put the person in front of like the pink door in Mexico and they're going to be beautiful.
Right.
It's
Right.
girl, good clothes, da, da. But I said, it feels like vacation photos to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so Mario and I pushed each other to do different types of pictures. So we never did that. It was never
Right.
a happy snap from a vacation.
Right. Gigi
was
in
like-
Rome. Siena. Yeah. All of
we
that.
would
Yeah.
it would be, let's photograph this human. Because he was so much fun to be with. And you would just have, like, why not photograph that joy? Why not photograph that? The
Yeah.
sexiness of it.
Yeah.
Like, does
No, I
everyone-
always say my favorite pictures, we're shooting Kirsten Dunst and she lays on the ground and her dog just grabs her sweater and is trying to pull it and she's hysterically laughing and that's the shot. It was real.
Yeah, they're all great. So I don't have to change them. I have
Right.
to know how to be with them. And if I can't figure it out, I can't do the picture. Like, I loved Herb's pictures Like Anna wanted me to work with her, but I never worked with her at Vogue because I couldn't figure out how to be the editor there.
Mm.
It was hard for me because I love the picture, but it's not something that I related to.
Right.
Like I loved him as a person. I thought he was loved like the nicest human being. But I couldn't figure out, and I hadn't worked with him enough. I know he'd worked enough to know how to do it. And so Anna would say, "Do you want to do Herb?" And I would go, "I'd like to, but I can't figure it out." I
Right.
could never figure it out. Whereas Phyllis did great pictures with him.
But there's, there's the pairs, the chemistry that we all knew, perfect team, try it out just to change it up. But it's like there's teams that just to put two romantics together, put Grace and Stephen Klein just to see that the beautiful nightmare of that, the romantic and the brutal almost in a way, so.
It's good. It's like that's what happened at Bazaar when we had David Sims and we had Linda Evangelista, who was at the time, he was doing much more younger, sort of grungier girls. It was like the world was changing.
Yeah.
And we did these pictures, which to me are one of the most beautiful pictures he's done is Linda in a man's suit whistling.
Oh.
But she did something that was so funny. She got out, and I think I've told the story before, but I'll tell you very quickly. We were ready to shoot. First picture, she's in a suit. It's a suit story. She's in a man's suit. They do the hair and the makeup, and it's Dick Page, so the makeup's very minimal at that time. It's Guido, the hair is very kind of a mess and fabulous. And she goes out, she's very, and she just like falls into this position that feels very David Sims. So he picks up his camera and is about to take the picture, and she then strikes a pose and then starts laughing and says, "See, it's only modeling. It's not whether I'm that person."
Oh my God.
And so she could do both things. And so when she did the picture, she gave David,
yes.
like he would say, "Linda, kick the ball." There was no ball there. He'd say, "Do it like you're kicking the ball." Like, whistle. She couldn't know how. She didn't know. She wasn't whistling, but she would just do the, but she made you believe it. And she would shut her eyes.
Oh my God.
But she really gave you that. And he'd say, "Throw the rock into the water." And she would.
Yeah.
So we had to go in fully dressed into the lake, throwing rocks. And But it was like we did the Bazaar woman, but as David Sims's woman.
Yes.
So we never lost him. You can't lose him and you lose her.
Right.
So the one variable becomes the editor.
Right.
Like, how can the clothes work? These are the clothes you have to shoot.
Yeah.
How are we going to shoot them? Like, that's Tani's great gift. It's Grace's gift. It's like, if that's the woman, how are we going to show her?
Yeah.
We have her suits. How are we going to show the suit? Do you leave the shirt on? Do you take the shirt off?
Camilla's brilliant at that too. I mean, brilliant, because she can take these clothes and the model's wearing all of them, but it looks nothing like, for all intents and purposes, all the credits are there, but it's nothing like the image in the lookbook. Yeah.
You want it to be.
Yeah.
You don't want a lookbook.
Right.
For the magazine, you want the woman in the magazine to express the vibe of the magazine. Right. And there's a lot of facets to the same woman.
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't have just one way of being.
Right.
So, you have to have the space to have, the Helmut Newton woman mixed in, and woman mixed in with Stevens woman and Avedon. Like all of that has to live. But there has to be something, and the thread is the Vogue or the Bazaar or whatever it is. That's the thread.
Oh my God, it's fascinating. Okay, we've covered so much ground, from Hunts Point to Vogue covers, from Keisha teaching you to tie a bow to creating some of fashion's most iconic images. Now I want to shift these final questions about legacy and what comes next. So here you are now in LA with your daughter and grandkids, looking back at a magazine career that simply doesn't exist anymore. These last few questions are about those who have helped you along the way and those you will help along their way. with your words and with all that you have accomplished thus far. Let's start with your mentors. We've talked about the photographers who are more than just collaborators, Meisel, Bruce, Avedon, and the EICs, editor-in-chiefs, who helped to hone your process, from Anna, precision, from Liz, acceptance and individuality, from Linda, direction and independence. But what's evident through all my research and every interview and just listening to you today, it's clear that Keisha is the one you consider to hold that role. You said Keisha Keeble, without a doubt. She was my mentor. She was it. She taught me everything about fashion. Since Keisha was an editor at Vogue under Mrs. Vreeland, she would tell me all these wonderful fashion stories, and that's how I began to learn about that world. She taught you how to tie bows, how to tie shoes, how to pin clothes, things you had to learn how to do. She taught you all the rules, and then once you learned the rules, you could learn how to break them. I never met her, but I've had so many guests on who worked with her, and everyone talks about her in this otherworldly way. Like she was a guiding light, a fairy godmother, someone with this magical ability to help others succeed. You've spoken about her a lot today, but anything else?
I mean, I thank God
Yeah.
that for 1,000 reasons.
Yeah.
I have a child
Right.
because of her.
Yeah.
But she was magical. She was. She just was. When you speak
It's
to all
almost
these
like
people,
this. Yeah. It's
she had this incredible democracy about people. She just loved people, and she could see, just slightly psychic.
yeah. See, that's what I'm hearing. She saw what they were going to become and help them believe it, or something like that.
Well, she said to me when we started to do this, she said, "You're going to meet all these famous people." This is before we shot celebrities, like how we shoot celebrities now.
So
She would say, and I was like, "I'm not going to meet anybody famous." Like, are you crazy? I've met so many. I mean, I've been to the fucking White House. I photographed the First Lady. I photographed Oprah Winfrey. I photographed Aretha, Little Richard, Britney Spears, from all over, but people that are famous, and then people that became famous. And it was just like, I just did the job because I needed the work. We had a baby and we had to work, and I loved doing it. And it was the 70s. It was much looser, it was smaller. I didn't think it was going to grow into this.
yeah.
But she could see. Stephen Meisel's agent came. Stephen was still illustrating at W. And the agent came to our apartment. Her name was Frances Grill. She was this fabulous agent. She ended up opening Click Model Agency. But she was Toscani's agent. She was Uli Rose. She was really great. She then comes, and at the time it's a carousel, which is a slide machine. And on the back of our door, she's showing us Stephen's picture. And Keisha looks at the picture and says, "I love, they're so happy, they're so adorable." And then we hired him to do a shoot. He does his first try, gets a self cover. And we do self with him.
Yeah.
So we started to do things, and he would work at women's wear during the day and then come and shoot covers at night. And then Keisha took him on a trip and then said to me, "You have to get him to quit his job and come do this shoot." Because he said he was going to lose his job, and he was about to buy his little apartment on 21st Street. He said, "You got to get him to quit." And I'm like, "I'm not going to quit." So I had to call Stephen and say, "Stephen, Keisha wants you to do this trip. She says that this is going to be your career. This is, you won't, this, that." And he didn't quit at that moment, but he did the job and then eventually quit. And look who he is. But she could see it.
Yes.
So she could see, but the same, like all the hair, the makeup.
Yeah, it's the hair. Yeah. I mean, Julian, Christian, like everybody.
The thing that was her gift, but she also was a great editor. She loved clothes. She knew how to do clothes. She was brought up with clothes.
Right.
But she's very Tawny, very similar, in that they're brought up with that thing about clothes. She was magical.
I know, it's wild.
She loved people and could see. She could,
Definitely could see. Yeah.
and
And that helped. Others trusted her taste, ability, everything. And if she could see in me, then I better see in me.
yeah,
That's the impression I get.
yeah, and I think she allowed things to happen. I think my daughter is very similar. My daughter has a very similar thing. Like people call her all the time, what should I do? What should I
Yeah.
do? So Keisha taught me a lot. Like working with Bruce at the very beginning of his career, she taught me how to be with a photographer.
Right.
With Stephen, how to be with a photographer. She taught me all that, how to be with
Yeah.
hair and makeup,
Right.
how to be in the studio. And her whole thing was, we hold the space of possibility. Because it could go anywhere. You've been on 100
Oh,
shoots.
yeah.
It can go anywhere. And it sometimes goes so south, and you got to get it back.
Yeah.
I think what's very hard about working at magazines is that the magazine is a commercial venture.
Mm.
And here are people like the photographers who artists,
Artists. Yeah.
the hair and makeup people, artists,
Artists first. Yeah.
makeup artist.
Yes.
It says it in the title.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And most of the editors, and I guess I never considered myself an artist, but so I didn't have that. But I did have the thing of creating something that when you looked at it, it elicited an emotion.
Right.
And to me, that's the difference between editorial and catalog, or editorial and things, is you want to elicit an emotion.
Right.
And I think you can only elicit the emotion if you're all playing in the sandbox very well together.
Right. Yeah.
Even if you're going to throw sand in someone's eye every so often on the shoot, you still got to play well for the most part. And that's why the job was fun.
That's advice that you just gave. So I always ask my guests what advice they would give young creatives starting out. But with you, I think it's not just your advice that one would get the most from. It's how you've lived, the resilience, the gratitude, the joy you bring to every shoot, the way you've navigated loss and kept going, the way you collaborate. You've said, there were so many times I thought it was the end. Like when Keisha died, I thought I'm done because my whole thing was tied up to her. So many people have helped me through all of the hard times. I have an incredible child who has helped me. Like, you have to be grateful. That's living gratitude. That's what young people should model themselves after. But since you are so wise, let me read what you've said about working in this industry. You've said the thing is, you have to work. You really have to work. Clothes are a language, and you have to learn the language. There's a difference between taking a picture and making images. As a stylist, you can be very good at putting clothes together, but the really good ones, there's a spirit in the picture, just what you said. And Keisha taught you holding the space for all possibilities to happen. To someone wanting to break into the industry today, you've said, internet, internet, internet. It's a brilliant industry. You just have to figure out what you want to do, what your place is. When I asked Dick Page what advice he'd give young artists, he told me the best advice he could share was actually what you taught him. You may not have to do everything, but you should be able to. He said this wisdom from you is what he now passes on to the next generation. Anything else you want to tell young Paul walking to his first Buddhist meeting? He doesn't have a clue what the next 4 decades have in store for him.
No, you don't know what's in store when you wake up in the morning.
You're right.
So it's like, this is an adventure. Sometimes I'm not into the adventure I'm having, I have to be honest. I think you learn, and you learn this a lot of times because of loss. Because when it's going well, it's fine. And you're not paying attention. When someone passes and it affects you, I think you learn that something can happen at any moment. You could have the person and then the person's gone. You can be on a shoot and it's going well and then it goes south. There's so many things that happen in life. It's like it can be there and gone so easily. So you have to learn to be flexible. And I think one of the things as a parent that we learn is your child could be fine and suddenly fall and hurt themselves. That changes the mood of the day.
Right.
So you,
Yeah.
but you got to keep rolling. You got to keep going. You got to keep moving forward. And the whole thing is, how do you keep moving forward? For me, and that was the thing. It's like, in general, I do the thing that's in front of me. I have a plan of where I'm going, but I'm not stuck to the plan.
Right. And that frees you up if the plan changes.
Yeah, and it's inevitably going to change. And
right.
and my tendency is to want to make the person that changes the direction wrong, because I'm lazy, and once I've decided I want it to stay that way. But having had these experiences, I realize I can't control it all,
Right.
or really any of it. I can control what I can control.
Yeah.
And at your job, what did I get to control? I could control what the clothes were, but I can't even control that, because I could put something on the model and then go, you can't control a lot of things.
Well,
So
I have your
have
quote, which is amazing. I was going to end on it, but we'll do rapid fire at the end. So I wanted to end with something you said that I think everyone listening needs to hear. You said, the natural orders of things change. That's just the way the world works, and thank God it changes. The best part about change is that if you're having a bad time, you know it's going to change. Also, we have a good time, it's going to change too. But that's not so great, but it'll change back. It's all part of life.
Yeah.
All right, so rapid fire, and then you have some of your day back.
Let's go.
Okay, this or that. Okay, AM or PM?
AM.
Text or talk?
Talk.
Sweet or spicy?
Sweet.
Book or film?
Film.
Uber or Subway?
Subway.
Spots or stripes?
Stripes.
Top or bottom? It's a top or a bottom. God, it's
top
always
anyway.
the top.
Top is the answer to all of it.
I know.
Because first of all, even if you're talking about clothes, it's like tabletop dressing. No one's going to see your pants. Or your
Exactly.
You want to see the top, because hopefully people are looking at your face.
Exactly. I love talking to you today. It was awesome.
You were great. Thank you so much for having me. Bye,
Thanks,
Jill.
Paul. Bye.
Thanks, Jill. Bye.
Okay, that's our show. Thanks for listening to Going Rogue, and be sure to like and subscribe. Today's show is produced by me and Maddie Rosenberg at Radio Free Rhinecliff, with assistance from Maddie Kelly. Special thanks to David Vogue for our great graphics and Taras Romanov for our epic theme music. See you next Friday.